It is time. It is time for the conspiracy theories. It's been a hot minute, hasn't it? I know what we're gonna see today is kinda normie tier for the most part, but I had to be honest. Despite that being the case, I do believe that real life is usually more insane than fiction. For some reason, God, I hate normies. I just hate normies with a burning passion. There's no other way of saying this. For some reason, before stream, I was watching some stuff on the phone. It was actually before I got into the shower. I was watching some stuff on YouTube. Nothing really that insane. And I got an ad because I was watching on the app. I know, grave mistake. I have Brave. I should use it. For those interested in Brave, short uh, short shilling here from my part. Just with the browser, you can have YouTube playing on the background. You can have YouTube playing while the phone is locked. Great. I tried that the other day by mistake. It's cool. I got an ad. Oh boy, I got an ad. I don't even remember the name. I don't think I was paying enough attention. What if you were watching anime, but you wanted to decide what happens next? I don't want to decide what happens next. I want to be surprised by the author. Of course, there had to be some sort of insane AI implement, right? Why? Why must we suffer like this? It makes no sense. It makes no sense, and I don't like it. Oh, I guess it makes sense, actually, when you think about it, despite its intrinsic lunacy. I guess we're not gonna be talking about the moon. To me, saying lunacy is completely accurate here. I mentioned before how, for some reason, there are many, way too many, quote unquote, heavy quotes, anime fans that only watch anime through TikTok. Not that doesn't mean they're watching the full anime, that means they're watching hype moments and or compilations. Of course, those people are the lowest of the low, and we shouldn't celebrate them. But here we are. Yay. Great. Now we have to appeal to those. It's not the first time this happens. It's actually not the first time something like this happens. Let me get into my YouTube channel here in a second. Because I know I already wrote I already read an article about this. That was months ago. When was this? Hold up. Yes. Throat, please. Throat, please work with me a little bit. I'm dying. This was more than a year ago. Believable. Actually believable. Oh, Jesus Christ, where is this? Oh my god, it's been more than a year ago. It was around the Pokemon Giga League. Oh! That was thanks to Crunchyroll. Oh, disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Why? Just why? Why are normies like this? Why are normies, even? It's not just about anime. It's not just about the high moments compilations on TikTok. Why are normies? Why do you want to pose as a fan of something that you don't actually enjoy? Because you're not partaking into the hobby. I just don't get it. Is this what internet does to people? I swear we were more normal than this back in my day. For whatever it's worth, which I know it's not much, but still. I just mentioned the other day, right? Yesterday, maybe it was yesterday. It might have been on Monday. The other strange Twitter post. Oh, but I don't want to be called a LARPer, so I have to force myself to play the game. Wow. Force myself to play the game, not to be called a LARPer. Jesus Christ, dude. And this is just the insane overlap of being dumb and being dumber. It's like an old movie, but it's even worse than that. First of all, first of all, if you're actually a fan, why are we? How are we forcing you to play the game? It doesn't make any sense. That's not how it works. But most important of all, some people fall into this for different reasons. Why do you care about what people think about you? You will always see people hating on you no matter what you do. So who cares? We already know you're a poser. You got into the fandom because it was a fandom, not because you liked the piece of media. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. When I reach unlimited power, and it will happen soon, those people will be re-educated. Or will be sent to a work camp. I haven't decided yet. We cannot let these people be in these hobbies, or claim to be in these hobbies. And then you wonder, which I guess a spoiler maybe for Saturday. Then you're really surprised when you see all of this stuff happening in the gaming industry, right? Oh, but people love these games. No, they don't. Oh, but these people told me they will love these games. Yeah, they don't buy games. As the current state of Blizzard. Oh, but Jason Schreier told us they were still in breast milk. Apparently not even real. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I will be the first guy to say, yes, that sounds absolutely insane and literally not possible. Impossible. It's never impossible, right? Oh, why are we trusting games journalists? Yeah. Yeah, about that. I guess we get what we deserve. Because we think the people that have influence are smart. I'm just saying, quote unquote, influencers. Yeah, and not really the smartest crayon in the toolbox here. Horrifying prospects. Not trying to claim I'm the most smart people in planet Earth, but sometimes it seems like it, which is also very scary because of the implications. Is this Idiocracy? I need to watch that movie. It was never on TV. That's why I never watched it. I guess I will have to go out of my way to actually watch it. Oh, brother, I have to force myself to interact with the media. See, it's not the same, right? It's not the same. It's because of the reference. It's because of the memes. The memes. The DNA of the soul. I like the memes. But I keep seeing people that say all the time, oh yeah, this is... They're reminiscent of such a movie. Should I watch it to see documentary? Maybe I should. What about the watch along? No. No. I'm not doing that. It's an actual movie. I had to force myself to actually watch videos on stream sometimes. Ah, force myself. Only when they're short and interesting, which I think it makes sense, right? Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Am I LARPing conspiracy theories? I guess some people would call me a conspiracy theorist, but it's not fair. I know what I say, and some of my opinions sound completely insane. But I'm just following what people are admitting to, okay? Reality is often more insane than fiction. I know. Very funny, very funny. I wouldn't call myself in Alex Jones, but I do enjoy the guy. I also find it hilarious when we see people on social media posting the image of, oh yeah, this guy makes up a completely fictional situation in his mind and then gets mad about it with the picture of Alex Jones and the frogs. And then you're sitting there wondering, but Alex Jones was right about the frogs though. I wrote the article about it back when we were playing the Alex Jones video game. That was a very strange day. It's not my fault. They're actually making the freaking frogs gay, okay? Hilarious. Well, I say it's hilarious because, of course, Alex Jones is a very fun individual. It's also kind of scary when he is right, because the things he says are way worse than the things I say. Not great. Can you say that my mind is not doing great today? I think I'm better than yesterday, but I guess that's not saying too much. I guess I'm gonna be mistaking... Well... I guess I'm gonna be making many mistakes while speaking. I hope you don't mind too much. I promise I try my best. For whatever that's worth. But in general, I wouldn't call myself a conspiracy theorist or a conspiracy debunker. I just think they're pretty interesting, and sometimes, I mean, if we go by the actual origin of the term, apparently it was propped up by the FBI to actually reduce some criticisms that people had about, I don't know, the government. I mean, if you're butting heads against quite literal glowies, we might be onto something here. It's not saying a lot. Is that not saying not enough? I have no clue. I will say some conspiracy theories are just obviously wrong and incorrect. After all, some of these things we have known about for centuries, if not thousands of years. Some others are just weird in general. Once again, I will repeat myself. I know what we're gonna see today is mostly normie stuff. But I don't think it's necessarily bad normie stuff. I think we need to go through the normie stuff before we get into the actual insane things, right? So, this doesn't really count too much as a conspiracy theory, but it's somewhat related because it's based on Earth. But maybe some of these conspiracy theories are also based on mythology in general, which I guess that's fair. What about the ancient dragons? What about the ancient aliens? Wow, the ancient aliens, that was a meme for quite some time, right? Pretty funny in my opinion. So we have the first single lady for today. It's gonna be this by Atlas Obscura. This is number 20, 2017. Why is the world always in the back of a turtle? It's mythology all the way down. I do believe this depiction is also used in several pieces of media. Yeah, like this one, this world. I don't know really too much about this world. I think a friend of mine got into it? I'm actually not sure. But that should be just fiction. So of course it's reasonable for fiction to use mythology, right? I mean, we've seen that a lot. We've seen that all the time. And what about Final Fantasy? Yeah, they use a lot of mythology, but that's normal, right? Anyone who's ever heard the expression, it's turtles all the way down, is probably familiar with the image of the world being carried on the back of a giant turtle. I've never seen this before, I'm gonna be honest. Wikipedia, turtles all the way down. Alright. Speaking of turtles, I don't know, they're sea animals. The other day, since we talked about the American invasion the other day, I've been getting a lot of Spanish tweets, for better or for worse. And one of them was talking about an idiom. There was something about thinking of the mortality of the crab for somebody that's distracted but heavily pondering upon something. I thought it was very strange. I've never seen that before. I will say they do have some freedom expressions. That's for sure. But the philosophical one-liners of relatively modern vintage, the Cosmic Turtle, my team, is this competence to MySpace, has appeared in disparate cultures across the globe for millennia. In honor of everyone's favorite intellectual country, let's take a moment to celebrate the tortoises that hold up the world. But is it the tortoise or is it the turtle? They're different animals, okay? This is clearly not a tortoise, but a turtle. Why are you lying to me? In his book, researchers into the early history of mankind and the development of civilization. The team of the 20th century anthropologists Edward Byrne and Tyler writes that the world turtle concept likely first appeared in Hindu mythology. And you know it's bad. Damn, this music is kinda loud though. Jeez. The mixing and this remix is not good. How about that? It seems a bit better. That seems a bit better to me. Rough. It's rough all the way down. Just like the turtles. In one Vedic story, the prophet god Vishnu's second avatar, Kurma. It's Kurwa, right? This were in Russian. Kurwa, I think that means something like bitch, right? It's a great turtle which provides a celestial foundation upon which a mountain is balanced. Why would you balance a mountain on top of the turtle shell? I don't know, they're Indians. It doesn't need to make sense to me. Over in China, part of the traditional creation mythology involves a giant turtle named Owl. Is it blue? I guess, in theory back in the day, blue and green were the same color in the Far East, so who knows. At least in Japan. I don't know about China. It would make sense too. Although the image in this case is a bit different. According to the legend, the creator goddess cut off the legs of the cosmic turtle and used them to prop up the heavens, which had been damaged by another god. It's not quite carrying the world on its back, but it still puts a chirping at the center of the universe, making sure that the very sky doesn't fall down. Are they going to relate this to Atlas? That'd be hilarious. Maybe at some point. I don't know if I can actually fill 3 hours with that. I don't think it could, so it would need to be some sort of addendum to something else. But I find Asian mythology to be fascinating. And I do think vastly different mythologies are actually closer to each other than what logic actually should tell us. Right? Everybody knows about the Greek Hydra. It's a big monster with a lot of heads. Why is the logic so similar to Yamato no Orochi from Japanese mythology? Kinda odd. A gigantic serpent with 8 heads and 8 tails, spanning 8 mountains and 8 valleys. Hey, do you know about another huge serpent? What about Jormungandr? So odd, it's so strange. One can only assume everything comes down to having the same basis? But I don't know how, right? I guess I don't know enough about Hindu mythology, which could be probably the nexus here. But I think it's very interesting to think about. We also have the dragons being quite different from the East and the West, but that's completely different animal, of course. That would be deep research for sure. The concept of a world turtle seems to have arisen independently with a Native American myth and legend. Independently. So I guess that would send us into... how do they call this? The global consciousness and whatnot, right? That seems like out of a JRPG. Is this the vital current from Final Fantasy VII? What is going on here, right? Very odd. But I don't think it's necessarily impossible. We don't need to get into quite heavy mysticism, but I think it's very interesting. I actually don't discount mysticism as a whole. That would be facetious for me. It's cool. It's pretty cool. Integration stories of the Lenape and Iroquois people, and is some in the pronunciation. If it's wrong, please bear with me. The earth is created and soiled. The spine on the back of a great sea turtle that continues to grow until it's carrying the entire world. Many indigenous tribes in North America refer to the continent as Turtle Island to this day. Is this somewhat related to El Dorado? I think that's kind of supposed to be also related to turtles. Maybe that's me. Maybe that's me. Maybe because of Digimon. Because I know there's El Doradimon, which is a gigantic turtle with a castle on top. And appeared in Team Adventure 2020. I appeared in Savers too, I don't remember that. I guess I don't know enough about El Dorado. Do we need to watch that cartoon movie? I actually never seen that one. There are several movies from that period that I haven't watched. What about The Emperor's New Groove? Never seen it. I know people love it, but I've never seen it. Demon to the world being carried through space by ancient, impossibly massive tortoises. Evocative. What are you calling them tortoises? They're turtles. Not the same. Is this ESL? So it's not hard to imagine why it has survived for so long in so many different cultures. But in the end, why turtles? I mean, I think it makes sense, right? Before getting into the explanation, you can probably make a connection between the vast universe and the vast ocean. Especially in these locations where you can see sometimes those... Are they algae? I'm not quite sure if they're algae or not. That just shine, right? It happens like 1 or twice a year, which is kind of cool. It did just look like stars. What's the deal with turtles? Well, they're hardy because they have thick shells and they live a long time. I think it makes sense. It's not the most nonsensical thing I've ever seen. That's what I mean. And in 1974 issue of the Anthropological Journal, what I was about to say that as James, because everyone's the man after, maybe, man. The scholar James Miller provides some thoughts on what makes the turtle such a popular world bearer, writing, I made the turtle's a logical choice for such an Atlantean, because its shape and appearance were suited to this role. I mean, probably a bit easier than whales, right? I think that's reasonable. Let me see a little bit alone now. Jeez, this makes it not 3 minutes. Hold up. We might need to change it. We might need to change it. Let's see. Too good to relax and tell the music. It's 7 hours and a half, so that probably makes sense. Kind of talking about the ocean. We have the Wind Waker here. Okay, that is not too bad. It seems okay to me, at least. Okay, look, let me put it from the beginning. I'm trying to gauge the volume. Okay, it's probably fine. I just had to contend with the fan running, so it makes a little bit of noise. And people talking outside, so they also make noise. It's not that bad. I can increase it if need be. Okay, I'm actually gonna increase it a little bit now. Should be chill, so nothing should be wrong here, right? How about that? Outside Island? Yeah, I remember that place. Is that also on the back of a turtle? That'll be funny. Yeah, this man was writing, I think the turtle was a logical choice for such an Atlantean because its shape and appearance were suited to this role. But he was not right, specifically of the Luna people believe in a born turtle that the creatures also mirror the aspects they value in their culture, such as perseverance and longevity. I mean, their culture, I think that's common in general. It makes sense. And that idea doesn't just apply to the cosmic turtle and Lenape culture. With intensive research, the above analysis should also apply for other societies. They place the earth on the back of the turtle. Most turtles and tortoises are also famously long-lived, giving them a wise and sweet quality that lends itself to mythologizing. Also, be really careful when you're mixing turtles and tortoises, okay? I don't remember watching a video, it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago, it was several years ago. I think it was a chick. She found a tortoise, I mean, I don't know, some sort of lakeside. So she picked the tortoise up. She moved it to the dock and threw it to the water. Don't do that. Don't do that. Those are land animals, not water animals. Do not make that mistake. Do not be out here killing tortoises by mistake. If you want to do it on purpose, that's on you. Maybe you shouldn't, but I'm just a guy on the internet. I'm not a cop. Don't judge me by my sunglasses, okay? Words also appear in more modern pop culture as well, from the great Outwing, of the late Terry Pratchett's Discworld franchise, to the all-knowing Maturing of Stephen King's Metaverse. Okay, why are the names so similar? That's a little bit odd. Clearly, it remains cool to imagine that the world is being led through space by a being that actually knows where we're headed. It's not the case. We're just in a floating rock that orbits around the massive plasma mass that's also moving at insanely high speed through space. If anything, that's actually kinda cool when you think about it. If you've ever seen, I don't have it on me. It's been a long time since I've seen it for the last time. It's actually kinda cool when you see the animations of the solar system just moving through space. That's actually pretty cool. And we don't feel anything. Wow, it's so cool. How is that possible? Well, that's physics for you. Wow, cool physics facts. Science is cool, okay? You heard it here first. But of course, this is just the entry level stuff. We've seen images like this all the time. Similar to this are used by schizophrenic people on social media, which I know it's not saying anything because they use a lot of stuff. So of course we had to get into a what about the actual truth of the universe? Well, I don't know if it's the actual truth of the universe or not, but of course we had to talk about the flat earth. Are you a flat earth believer or are you a flat earth truther? Hey Master, how you doing? We're doing conspiracies today. I hope you enjoy it. It's a little bit normie, but it's kinda fun anyway. So of course we have here the flat earth with Britannica.com. Not necessarily deep, but I mean it's flat earth. We all know about this. It was very popular in YouTube back in the day. I do remember watching videos debunking the flat earth. It has been known since ancient Greece, okay? I don't think the earth is flat. It was also kind of funny when was it? It was some years ago, right? When Elon Musk sent that rocket to space to have the Tesla car orbiting Earth. And you had the two camps. Oh, see? It actually confirms that the Earth is a sphere. And you had people saying, eh? You see? It actually confirms that the Earth is flat. Because you can see, it's just a circle. I don't think you can see Australia in that picture, but didn't you also have some people believing that Australia is not actually real? It was kind of difficult to find some of that information for today, sadly, so it's gonna be kind of a... Trust me, bro, I would lie to you about this. I just think it's hilarious. I went bitter today, sadly. Been trying to lose some steam for a while today. It'll get better. Well, if you're trying to lose some steam, I usually recommend exercising. It kinda helps me, for whatever it's worth. And you can actually get swole. Isn't that great? Better than actually punching a wall. Not that I would break a wall here, but might get powerful enough to do it. That's a bit scary. So what about the flat Earth? Flat Earth. The perception Earth exists as a flat disk, and a circular or square-shaped. Oh my god! Turn into a square shape, Earth. That was about a cloud, right? That's a very old meme. This view persisted in the ancient world until empirical observations revealed that Earth's shape was spherical or ellipsoidal. I mean, it's kind of... There's not a perfect sphere, right? There's a eccentricity ratio, which is actually kind of small, but it's there. In modern times, however, the notion of a flat Earth has been revived and promoted on social media. Despite scientific evidence to the contrary, I think there was a guy that was trying to get money to make his own rocket and finally prove that the Earth is truly flat. I don't know what happened to the guy. Flat Earth believers are the funny, especially when they're from the US. Imagine being from the dominant superpower and believing in round Earth. It's a political conspiracy. Oh boy. Well, I think it's pretty obvious too, right? That we're gonna mention. I actually don't have anything about the moon landing, but that's a common conspiracy theory. Imagine believing the moon is real, right? Oh, but the Americans were there. Are you sure? Yes. They left stuff there. You can actually check it by yourself if you have a telescope. It's just hilarious to me. The, I understand wanting to use observation to demonstrate the stuff, right? Usually, things are painfully obvious. I would say, even using regular observation, the Earth is painfully obvious is sphere. Quote-unquote sphere. We understand it's not a perfect sphere, but it's not flat, goddammit. It's been proven many times. I remember... was I in elementary school or was I already in middle school? I don't remember. I think they were my last couple of years in elementary. Well, you start to get into a little bit more complex maths, right? One of the teachers told us a very interesting story. If the planets were actually... kind of funny, we call it a planet, right? Is it actually just a plane? No, not really. If you put a stick in the ground, perpendicular to the ground, at noon, in Egypt, and you do the same at the same time in Greece, they don't have the same shadow. But they should have the same shadow. But they don't. Because the Earth is round. Apparently this has been done in ancient Greece already, right? I don't know if that's actually true or not, but I've been told that. No, that is not possible. Jesus Christ, man. There's so many things you cannot really explain. If the Earth is not a sphere. Is it a palette sphere? I don't think so. I've been playing Palette World, don't mind me. This is a legitimate advice. Will probably still be better because it doesn't change reality, but I need to exercise anyway. Exercising is useful, okay? I will always shield for exercise. And that's not a conspiracy theory. I know I mentioned this before, but I started exercising randomly. Not kind of randomly, but continuously. January 1st, 2023. I was like, you know what? Look, I do have my dumbbells. I should be exercising. Because despite what some people may tell you, you cannot change your body. You have your own body, and you get to keep it. So why not make it the best thing you can do? And, well, it takes work. And it's better to work a little bit every day than trying to go and just destroy yourself in the gym once a week. I started somewhat slow, and about middle of February to early March the same year, I started to exercise literally every single day until January 1st, 2025, I believe. Now I take a couple of days of rest, which also helps. Funny thing, a friend of mine, not really the most athletic guy in the group, it's kind of funny, he's also our diversity hire, he's the gay guy in the group. He's actually going to the gym, and he's been going to the gym for quite some time. It's not working. He goes like 1 or 2 a week. He's actually getting fat. And I will say that if you want to exercise, even if you just have pretty limited equipment, which, fair, whatever, as long as you put your mind into it, you're gonna perform better. Because you're gonna put your whole body into it, and that actually helps. Might be pseudoscience, but I think that actually helped me. Producers are the most mindless bunch, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. What if they're just bitter about low, stagnant wages and the possibility of scaling up the financial ladder? Well, that's not flat Earth, that's flat economy. Probably worse than flat Earth. Gotta be that guy. There's also the memes, right? If the Earth was actually flat, cats would have thrown already everything out. Potentially. There's some flat Earth models that are just hilarious. But you see, we have insanely big ice walls that we cannot cross. What about global warming? What about the globe? Right? That was also a pretty classic meme. Hey, the flat Earth community has members all around the globe. Well, the joke tells itself, I'm afraid. Just misplaced agony? Sad to hear that. Things will get better. Sun will rise again. Allegedly. The observed Earth's curved horizon was released 10,668 meters, about 35,000 feet. That's a lot of feet. Out of surface, since the technology of ancient cultures was insufficient to allow people to reach such heights, the world around them appears to be flat and stationary. Flat and stationary. It's kinda funny, because I live in a very hidden location. Flat? We haven't seen flat ever. At best, women. God damn it. I like them big. I wish they were hilly too. Huh. I'm talking about high heels here. Funny. Funny wording. The perceptions were further reinforced by the movements of the sun and the moon, which appear to rise in the east and set in the west relative to a flat horizon, and of the stars, which appear to rotate in a dome overhead. Well, yeah, back in the day they would move through different regions, right? They wouldn't say that, oh yeah, the sky is backwards in the south hemisphere, because the south hemisphere was not really a thing. I mean, it was a thing, but it was not really discovered. America, Sub-Saharan Africa, Australia, that's new technology for the planet in general. I was thinking about myself there. I'm in the misplaced agony of flat earthers, are you sure? I don't feel agony for them. It didn't feel agony. Which I guess is reasonable. If you live near the ocean, you actually don't need to be this high up. Because you can actually check, well, I guess it would depend on the location. It's actually what some of the videos have saying. If the Earth was just flat, if you're near the shore and you see an island, and you keep walking back, you keep seeing the island, but no, the island kinda goes down, but that's because the curvature of Earth, because you stop seeing things about 4.2 kilometers away. I think that's kind of the distance. And 4.2 kilometers is something you can walk easily in less than an hour. Depending on the location, right? About an hour, let's say about an hour. And that's something you can see. Sometimes, it depends on the day, it depends on the weather and whatnot, you may see strange things happening with reflections, with I guess condensation maybe, close to what a mirage is supposed to be, scientifically speaking. But that doesn't discount the fact that, yeah, if you move 5 kilometers inland, you will stop seeing the, I assume the land is flat, you will stop seeing the island. In theory, I don't know if it's actually true, but in theory, with regular human sight, you should be able to see 16 kilometers away. If you have a torch lit up 16 kilometers away, you should be able to see it. I don't know if that's actually true. That seems like a very long distance. But I guess it's possible. Feel like for flat earthers, but there's a semblance of sympathy for those also trapped in middle-class trap and suppressed by opportunistic leaders. I mean, there's cameras everywhere, right? It's not something new. Which, sure, it's fucked up. I do think there's a lot of scammy things going around within A, not within you. Also within you, but that's not what I meant. Speaking of which, I guess it's also somewhat related to religious cults. Just work for me, for fatal or mortal possessions, and we'll go to, I don't know, paradise, right? Also, you have to let me fuck your wife. Well, you lost me. You lost me there. Maybe some people are just trying to hope for better future and they just grab themselves to whatever. That would be a completely different stream though. I'm meaning to do something like that at some point. It's interesting, but I actually don't know too much about those cults. Shrug, I suppose. And Trump's the Fire Emblem futuristic operation. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's a very strange comparison. I guess you've seen the Fortress Whip release. Reveal, not release, my bad. I haven't. I have no interest in modern Fire Emblem. I guess I'm not the only one. I just don't care too much about the AP. I've seen the designs, I'm not impressed. Different descriptions of a flat Earth can be found in the annals, oh boy, of ancient civilizations worldwide. For example, I think it's annals probably, right? Not anal. For example, ancient Egyptian and Mesopotamian records describe the world as a disk in the ocean, with the heavens arcing above it. And record tablet dated to 1000 BC, I think you mean before Christ, shows traveling at the center of a flat disk, and the great philosopher Anaximander, 310 to 546 BC, perceived the Earth as a flat disk perched at the top of the cylinder. In Norse cosmology, as flat plane is a circle-being ocean with a world tree or pillar at the center. Well, the world tree, we all know about the world tree, right? We're just a bunch of fucking nerds here. We play JRPGs. Common thing to do. It's also in Power World, speaking of spheres. In some secret tests describe the planet as a series of stacked flat disks, while others describe it as a horizontal wheel, setting a vertical axle. In China, it was described as a flattened square into the 17th century, at which time Western science introduced evidence for the planet's spherical shape. So also spherical Earth, is this also a conspiracy theory? I don't know about that. Same here, has some interest in three houses, but lost me completely at Cola-chan. That's engaged, right? I guess Colgate is probably what I've seen, really. It's a little bit too overdone, right? Pepsi Chang, whatever it was called. It's a little bit disappointing, at least for me. And because I know that character was designed by this... is it Mika? I don't remember the name. It's not somebody I follow, really. But it's the same designer that did Bay for Whole Life. But yeah, design for a vtuber and design for Sword and Sorcery is way too different. Wouldn't say the design is necessarily bad on its own. Yeah, I don't really see it. Fire Emblem Red and Fire Emblem Blue. Are we sure this is not the 90s? Very strange. Very, very strange. I just don't like the fans in general. But that's a different issue. I complaining about fandoms before. I am really complaining about fandoms today. It's probably fine. I don't like fandoms as a concept. Oh, brother. They appeal to normies. Why? Makes no sense. Oh, here we go. Contemporary revival. The idea that the Earth is flat seems to have an enduring hold on human imagination. In the 1830s, in Communion in Britain, led by British writer Samuel Burley Rowbottom, row your bottom, galley down the stream. We can only find the best names here. Resurrected the concept as backlash against rapid scientific progress. Members believed that Earth was a circular disk with the North Pole at the center and a wall of ice surrounding the edges of the disk to contain the oceans. The group was regarded as a harmless symbol of British eccentricity. Okay, alright, you're gonna tell me a wall is enough to contain the oceans? I wish to believe that. You know what else can a wall contain? Oh boy, more of that on Saturday. Wouldn't want to get too political already. They also having a student family male cross-dressing character in that game. And for first representation in video gaming, I mean, cross-dressing is not really that insane in Japan. It's been a common staple for a long time. But at the same time, you're the customer. You are number one. If you see something you don't like, you don't have to buy it. Something I mention all the time, right? Ah, but if you don't support these video games, they will collapse. Good. Why would I want to support video games that I don't like? It doesn't even have to be political. I will say that it's not uncommon for me to take political stances because of that. It keeps happening more and more. But I admit it's because of a political stance. That being said, I just find it hilariously wrong when so many people on social media, normies, once again it's just normies, it's just drones, fucking NPCs. For example, with Halo, I don't really care about Halo, right? I don't give a fuck about Halo, I never played the game. The OG Xbox was not really a thing here. The new Halo, apparently it's just bad. It's worse than the original release. It looks worse, and it plays worse. And even, apparently they mangled the main story. Okay. And you have people defending it. Oh, but these gamers are so greedy. They don't deserve these remakes. Yeah, you're right. We don't deserve this fucking bullshit you're releasing all the time. We deserve good games. But actually, we deserve those remakes. Those bad remakes. Because we keep... I say we as in general. I don't do it. But I guess I'm a quote-unquote gamer. A quote-unquote toxic gamer even. If you keep buying trash, you're telling the companies, yes, I will buy your trash, please make more trash. What are you, stupid? You're the most mentally raped individual on planet Earth. It's so horrible. It's kinda funny when this happens on YouTube. It's usually on Twitch. So I guess I will read this out. We might need to do investigation here live right now. Hey, I'm pro graphic designer, great experience creating vtuber models, logos, banners. If anyone interested, DM me, I can show my portfolio. Discord/TikTok. Extremely ESL. Don't think we'll find this individual on Twitter, sadly. The other day, found one of these individuals. You know it was a scam because you would look at it and it was like, oh yeah, account based in Pakistan. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't think this individual has a Twitter account, for better or for worse. Looking at you, Ubisoft is a really good example of it. It's not the only example, clearly. I think it's fair to say that I'm not interested in this. I just don't believe this works, right? I'm going to people that are streaming and say, oh, I want to sell you some art. Yeah, I don't think so. What about the YouTube channel? Let's see if we can find some information here. More information, no location given. Well, that's probably fine. I don't give my location either. I mean, if this is actually made by the individual, I guess not bad. I've seen worse. Pakistan is like the budget version of China in the 95 to 2000. I would say it's actually even worse. Because at least China was not Muslim. And at least Chinese people are usually smarter. Oh, are we getting racist? I love racing. Scamming never works, and somebody done you actually feel sad for pathetic life choices. Well, we could talk about this ad culture, but that's a completely different animal. I was talking about... Oh yeah, the gaming industry. Yes, I know I mentioned this yesterday, but that's kinda why I made that Metal Gear Rising parody. No need to better yourself. You are the customer. You are number one. And then the only value left is the dollar value. It just makes sense. It was kind of funny how everything pretty much lined up perfectly to make the video. I thought it was hilarious. I had a lot of fun making it, but it took me a lot of time because I'm a fucking idiot. I'm not great at editing videos. I think that's already known, but whatever. It was fun. I had a lot of fun also voicing the characters too. Been trying to scam people while wearing the same base sheet for the last few months. It could be worse. It could be worse. And they're just, how do we call this? Bachelors? Probably fine. Well, it depends, kinda depends. But in this case, we're talking about scams, especially in the heavy quotations, VTubing community is just rampant. Oh wow, look at my model, it's so cool. And you see a whole live model. And you're like, yeah, no, I don't think this individual with less than 200 followers on Twitter is actually making shit for a huge company in the business like Whole Live. I know you're lying to me. That actually happened several times. And then you also have the actual artists that don't work. It's endless. It's truly endless. I guess I can count myself lucky, because being so unsuccessful as I am makes me unable to try and work with artists, which is actually probably good. I would be tripping and saying I would go on a crusade and I would destroy half the planet just because of the artists. It was just an excuse, I guess. But they had it coming. Especially being a guy, right? Have you seen the guy models that they make? No. No, I just don't like them. I just don't like them. Anyway, it's totally fine. I don't to worry about that. Not anytime soon, at least. Let's get reading about Flat Earth, shall we? Probably more interesting than Twitter artists, for sure. Every single week they have some sort of drama too, it's so annoying. I know what that happens, okay? I know what that happens. They're usually very young and they never had an actual job. So it's a bad combination. That could also be said about many streamers. Extremely unprofessional, but that's why. But what we count about the Flat Earth concept emerged mostly in the 1950s as the Flat Earth Society, a small fringe group in Britain with a membership of fewer than 4,000 people. Fewer than 4,000 people, they're still fucking around until today. The joys of the internet, I guess. However, largely due to the rising influence of the internet and social media in the early 2000s, the organization launched itself worldwide in October 2009. Well, I guess they say worldwide and not globally, right? We cannot make the joke again. An annual conference is followed and caters to a variety of worldviews, so the society's models anchored ancient view of Earth as it is with the dome of stars rotating above it. If you were to believe this, because it's what you see, it's so inefficient. That's something we can enjoy about nature. It tends to be efficient with the things that happen. Not because, how do you call it? There's some overlap here with creationists, but they're also a different breed too. Intelligent design, right? I do laugh when they tell you about, oh, the intelligence design of the human being. Yeah, no, that is actually not true. I don't think the humans are that well designed. We think we are, because we're the apex creature of this planet. But our bodies are actually, they tend to fail. A lot. Thanks, healthcare. Nature contrasts with humans. I guess what I'm trying to say is actually just about basic shapes, right? Just when you see a huge rock, and what happens with huge rocks in reality? They just fall down, they break down, they get into the river, they just keep being erosioned, and they tend to become smoother. Not necessarily round, but rounder. If you put that into cosmic scale, it only makes sense for planets to be mostly spheres. Especially when we take into account other more relevant forces like gravity. Like creatures in Earth tending to become crabs, celestial bodies tend to become spheres. I think it makes sense. Humans are okay, but human mental processes and general conversations tend to be horribly inefficient, I should know. Oh well, yeah, that's for sure. I was talking about just the body in this case. Nothing is that optimal. Sure, we can run on 2 legs, that's pretty cool. But that's kinda it. Okay, we have arms and we can use the arms. That's evolution for you, right? But when you think about the intrinsic parts of the human body, not only humans, having the genitals there, I don't know, seems like a mistake. A pretty obvious weak point. Why is that exposed? Why is that also so close to the ass? That seems like a mistake to me. And that's not even talking about obvious, quote-unquote, sicknesses slash disorders that some people suffer. Like appendicitis. It doesn't do anything until it tries to kill you. Well, it's not that it doesn't do anything, okay? You gotta just take it out. It's actually gonna affect you, even if it's healthy. It just doesn't do a whole lot, I suppose. But I don't know. I don't know, man. There are many things that fail here. Have you chosen your own saliva at some point? I'm raising my hand. It kinda happened to me a couple times already. Do you think that's... Shit, the throat. The throat! That's... I guess that's big intelligent design, because it fails all the time. Are you really gonna have this in tube for food and for air with a tiny little bulb that it's a switch on and off? That sounds like something a CEO from Silicon Valley would come up with. So insanely inefficient. How many people have died choking? Way too many, man. Way too many. It's horrifying. I think the human brain and capacity to think, speak, etc. It's pretty interesting, notwithstanding other less efficient parts which don't develop as fast. Oh yeah, I do think that the human brain is fascinating, but to say we're the product of intelligent design, I think that's a... It's a tall call, but it's a completely different tangent for sure. And this was about the planet being a sphere. I think it makes sense, right? When celestial bodies are moving so fast, and they're so big, they're gonna crash against shit all the time. So, just sheer, especially when they rotate too, right? Just by statistics, through millions of years, they're gonna tend to become spherical. It's just sheer statistics. I think it just makes sense, right? I guess in theory you could have more complex shapes, but it's not going to happen. Okay, the moon is a circle, the sun is a circle, other planets are a circle, but this one is flat? Come on, I see a circle, we could say a sphere. You don't really see the 3D effect when you look at them from Earth, but that's something else. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. I guess at some point we could just have a long talk about human evolution, both physical and mental, because it's absolutely fucking bonkers. I think it's very interesting. Actually kind of disappointing when you see modern humans, but that's also a completely different issue. I guess it's also humanity playing against humanity, if that makes any sense. Of course you would trust another human, right? They wouldn't lie to you. Yeah, sure thing. Most of other groups, however, claim that the sun and moon are only 50 kilometers, 31 miles, in diameter, and they circle the disk at a height of 5,500 kilometers, about 3,400 miles. Others envision one end by Antarctica, which is believed to extend infinitely in all directions. Or they reject conventional laws of gravity, explaining the Earth is as it is, that accelerates upward in order to give the illusion of gravity. It's not actually gravity, it's inertia. Accelerates upward. It would need to be an infinite acceleration, right? Because it keeps happening. That is so strange to me. It's just kind of funny. These people are... at least they're trying to give explanations, I guess. It could be way worse. It's not just, it's wrong, why, it's just wrong. Okay, alright, sure. There's an attempt here to make a cohesive argument, maybe. Maybe it doesn't make any sense, but they're trying. Scientists and researchers who study this growing movement have found that its appeal is rooted in four trends. The public's mistrust of official scientific sources. Fair. Okay, I had to be that guy. Fair. The perpetuation of conspiracy theories related to the groups to the groups and community they identify with. I opened today with something like this. It was about fandoms, but related to the groups and community. Horrifying. And the use of social media to spread the misinformation. Flat Earth ideas have gained a large enough audience worldwide to harm some scientists, who have launched their own social media campaigns to debunk the Flat Earth models promoted online. Yeah, sure. Are you gonna believe the fads? I don't think so. Other researchers are working to overcome these perceptions by combining the teaching of rigorous evidence-based science with the restoration of public trust in scientific institutions, and aim by taking the questions of Flat Earth adherents seriously and refraining from taking aloof and dismissive positions. I think that's actually correct. If you have somebody that's ignorant for whatever reason, is someone skeptical of your claims, despite for everybody else those claims being insanely obvious, you shouldn't be dismissive. That's only gonna generate resentment. I think that's very easy to understand. You shouldn't be mugging them all. Look at this guy, what are you, a fucking idiot? Why do you believe that the moon is real? My goodness. Well, yeah. I don't see it every day, because, you know... how do they call it? New moon? No moon, you know, that day when you didn't actually see the moon. It happens once a month, maybe twice a month. So it's not feasible to see it every single day. In theory, you should be able to see... No, maybe not. I was about to say, maybe you should be able to see the shadow of the moon, but I don't know if you can, actually. I haven't paid enough attention to that, I'm gonna be honest. Of course, this will always be an excuse for people to say... but my world is actually flat when you're flirting with your girl, for example. Only if she's actually flat. What about you, Roshi? I guess that also works. It's kinda funny, it can be kinda cute. Flat Earth? Fake? Pretty obviously so, right? Pretty obviously so. Probably most of the most normie conspiracy theories we've ever seen. Which is fine, we have to start somewhere. But wait, there is more. What about Hollow Earth? Huh. I mean, if it's flat, can it be also hollow? How does that work? I don't think these two are compatible, but it doesn't really matter. Hollow Earth, a journey through 3 centuries of conspiracy theory. A glimpse into the history and origins of the Hollow Earth theory. They have a legitimate scientific hypothesis evolved into such an intriguing conspiracy theory. Is this about Jules Verne book? Maybe. Do they have dinosaurs there? Are the Nazis there? Are they in the moon? Well, we'll never know. In early summer 2007, a Yeti River guy named Steve Curry. But we know this guy is probably not Indian. Planned to head an expedition, the likes of which we don't often see nowadays. In the 21st century, our planet, or at least its surface, feels trodden, long since mapped, and thereby stripped of its greatest mysteries. Yeah, but not really. There are actually locations that aren't really that mapped. They are mapped in theory, but you're gonna get lost and you're gonna probably die. Those insane wild locations in the US, for example, the Amazon and all that, pretty weird. Not even counting the bottom of the ocean, which is very crazy shit, of course. Surely, we will already know there were a gaping hole in the North Pole that leads to a lush inner world. How would you know? It's covered in ice. Yet Curry, champion of the centuries-old Hollow Earth theory, chartered a Russian nuclear-powered icebreaker on the premise that we don't know. That's actually a lot of money to do something like that. Championing the Hollow Earth theory. Between June 26th and July 19th, Steve Curry intended to sail the North Pole from Murmansk to the precise coordinates at which he expected to find the entrance to interior Earth. This kind of relates in a weird way to those maps we've seen last time with Agartha, Hyperborea, and all that. Apparently just the inner crust. For 20,000 years near peace, the hand passengers were invited to join this historic voyage. However, a year before his scheduled departure, Curry suddenly died of brain cancer and the trip was cancelled. There's some sort of irony here. The guy that believes in Hollow Earth died of brain cancer before actually trying it. You could go full conspiracy mode. Oh, this was the feds. He was getting too close to the truth. You could go, well, yeah, this guy was not trying the mind. Maybe that's why he had some brain issues. I wouldn't say that, because that would be making fun of the dead. But it's an argument that can be made, I suppose. In the years since, an engineer named Brooks Agnew has taken up the mantle, pun intended, of upbeat Arctic exploration. Oh, the Earth mantle, okay, a bit slow there. The North Pole Inner Earth expedition is ostensibly still afoot. The logistical details are scarce. In a 2022 interview, the new leader framed his quest as a dispassionate, empirical endeavor. What's the truth? It's difficult to tell, he says. That's one of the reasons we want to do this expedition. Let's prove or disprove the biggest myth in human history. Ancient Hollow Earth beliefs. Agnew writes about one thing: the mythological ubiquity of subterranean realms. Hades to the Greeks, blood to the Egyptians, hell to the Christians, and so on. I don't know if Christian hell is supposed to be underground, literally. But it's actually hard to discount that possibility. It's supposed to be a fireplace. Well, you think it's much more fiery than just a magma layer. I haven't read the Bible, so maybe that's why. I mean, heaven is supposed to be above, so reasonably speaking, it's plausible. Of course, any mainstream geologist will tell you that science has really disproven these ancient yarns. It's not at all difficult to tell, but perhaps a passive nod to folkloric whimsy. They will explain that the Earth consists of a thin crust, a rockable flowing mantle that rests tectonic activity, an empty core of molten liquid, and an inner core of solid iron and nickel. Do we actually know about the composition of the core? It is believed to be iron and nickel, but I don't know if we can actually tell for real, or if this is just some sort of educated guess. They mention iron because of the magnetism. I think that's rare, but also nickel? I don't think nickel is known for magnetic properties. I don't remember too much about nickel in general. As the Earth consensus, grounded seismic data from Earth monitoring, another lines of firm evidence. Okay, alright. I need to disagree here on principle, not because I think they're wrong, because you're using expert consensus here. Right? It's the same fucking bullshit they use for all the climate change. Well, yes. There is quote-unquote climate change, and that is true, but that doesn't mean it's man-made, right? I was talking with my mom about this the other day. This is the first time I say mom. I usually say mother. Mother! Recently there have been a bunch of strange earthquakes around the planet and some volcanic activity. And from that she got recommendations of, oh yeah, the worst volcanoes in the past 2 centuries. And when you get a huge volcano, they just send a lot of shit to the atmosphere. A volcanic eruption sends more CO2 to the atmosphere than all of the machines in humanity since the Industrial Revolution. But you're meant to believe it's your fault because you're using your car to go to the city. No, that's the problem. People say, oh, you know, the humanity of it all. Well, no, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. We know that climate changes, quote unquote climate, right? Because the planet itself has a natural cycle. There were ice ages before, and there are hotter ages after. That's normal. That's actually looking at climate history, not but temperatures rising in the past 50 years. Well, yeah, and apparently in the early, maybe it was late 1800s, not early 1900s, there was some sort of tiny ice age. Not really ice age, but colder age. That's why clothing was so layered, because it was actually cold. And you go back to ancient Rome and ancient Greece, you cannot tell me they had winters like we do right now, because they were running around in pretty simple robes. Yeah, good luck with that. We also have, for example, not just the Greeks, but other tribes like the Celts, well known for being half naked. Not because they were just barbarians, which, sure, fair, I guess, but it has to be warm enough to do that. If you're 15 degrees, you probably have some belts on you. Maybe not the thickest belts, but you have some stuff on you. I just laugh at the expert consensus, right? When they tell you, oh yeah, but so many dentists actually recommend this toothpaste. Okay, but you paid those guys. I mean, it's toothpaste, right? It's not a big deal. They're not making laws through that. But still, I think it's something somewhat relevant, right? Expert consensus. Well, I'd rather have just the actual information. And they will say. What about the scientific method? No word to be saying. They're probably still right about the planet, but still. MCL groundbreaking hypothesis. Is this the same guy with the comment? I have no clue. Perhaps the most eminent hypothesis claimed by today's believers comes from the English astronomer Edmund Halley. Okay, yeah, that's quite likely if he was an astronomer. In 1686, trying to explain shifts in the planet's magnetic field over time, he suggested that below the surface lie three concentric shells, each with poles that rotate independently and interfere with above-ground compass readings. He thought each of these netted layers was likely inhabited, their life form supported by some unknown light source. Oh god, this is gonna be the inner song. Yeah, the Chinese want to know your location. Halley's genius, rather than firm evidence, imbued the theory with some degree of credibility. Staying as if the Standish is placing Hollow Earth, he has enjoyed a long and vibrant story, vibrant history, with later generations enlarging its scope. Right on to the present, he writes. The idea has been used again and again, changing and evolving in ways that suit the needs and concerns of each succeeding time. Well, never let a good theory go to waste. That also makes a lot of sense. The search for Simesols? It's only a single I, so I don't think it's Siamese. It was one thing for Hal to speculate on the bowels of the Earth, and quite another for an eccentric American trader named John Cliff Symes Jr. to seek them out. I think we read about this guy last time, tangentially, with the Arthur stream. Everything happens for a reason. In 1818, he published Circular Number 1, both an account of his use and the subject and involved action. I'll pledge my life in support of this truth, and ready to explore the hollow, he wrote. If the world will support and aid me in the undertaking. Such an undertaking seemed reasonable in light of his new contributions to Hollow Earth theory. While Halley never posited the reach to the nether regions, then call them nether regions, okay? We were talking about the goddess already. Too on the nose! Symes insisted on the existence of openings at the north and south poles, granting access to warm and rich land, stocking with thrifty vegetables and animals if not men. I can't understand where this is coming from, but I don't think there are actual holes and you will find actual people there. I guess I don't actually know, but I think this is somewhat related to the magnetic field. You actually don't need a hole for the magnetic field to generate, but if it needed one, it would be there. And understand where they're coming from, at least. Hey, Stalin, in the same tone, span thousands of miles on the curb so gently, you could sail into them without noticing the transition. I don't know about that. His evangelism mostly met with ridicule, and his dreams of a government-funded expedition went unrealized. Yeah. Convince the government to give you money to actually explore something. Good luck with that. Stamps never did make the trek north. May his ideas blossomed throughout the 19th century in the early science fiction works of writers like Jules Verne and Edgar Allan Poe, who in turn inspired future believers. So I guess it was actually before this work. It's pretty interesting. Need to blow my nose. Getting a little bit bad. Give me a second here. It's not as good as I expected. I will need to try and clear my nose in a little bit again. I think it's an improvement still. We also mentioned the mirror bird already, right? Everything is connected here. These days, in the appeal of the Hollow Earth narrative, the human have embraced this reputation is the mirror Richard Beard, an American explorer who led the first flights over both poles in the 1920s. And supposedly one of the few surface dwellers to glimpse the secret at our planet's heart. Despite numerous visits to the northern and southern extremities, Bird never once mentioned an opening. Nevertheless, to substantiate their claim, Solar Earthers routinely sent these enigmatic remarks from 1947. Night to see the land beyond the pole. That area beyond the pole is the center of the great unknown. Talk about the gold mine of open interpretation. I mean, I'm assuming he didn't see everything in the North Pole, right? Just around it, a little bit. Just passed by it. Think that makes sense. I guess I could be wrong. Oh, hold up. Okay, it's not cracking. Crack a little bit. But it was not a full crack. Yeah. Hollow Earth literature! Well, let's see about this. The first thing the strange woman has to... The scripture is a book titled The Hollow Earth. It's titled The Greatest Geographical Discovery in History, made by the Marvel Richard E. Beard, in the mysterious land beyond the poles. The true origin of the flying saucers. Oh boy, we had the yellow mouse here. More on them later, actually. Not to spoil anything. Published in 1962 by Raymond Bernard, a man devoted to various strains of esoterica. It reflects many of the strangest notions founded upon Halley's idea of an owning Earth. Well, the planets are just made of layers, just like onions. Certain as he was, of our advanced alien neighbors in the basement. I do have some neighbors in the basement. Bernard thought we might look to them for guidance and salvation in this era of mutually assured destruction. Perhaps this elder wiser race may save us from our doom, he writes, preventing a future nuclear war, enabling us to establish a new age on Earth, an age of permanent peace. When you write New Age this way, I can only find it suspicious, gonna be honest. For completely different reasons. But not the biggest fan. Not the biggest fan. I don't know if certain random people would be wiser than us. Who knows? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. They could be cannibals for all we know. If I'm being honest. Yes, that's about that Time Machine movie. For Viking to lost tribes, the quest continues. Bernard's particularly utopian vision of Hollow Earth. There's just one of many. Still imagining it to be inhabited by Vikings, Well, they were literally everywhere, so I guess it's possible. Dinosaur escape Nazi scientists are the last tribes of Israel. If you laugh, you're in trouble. My goodness. It was promised to them 3,000 years ago, okay? You had to understand. You had to understand. There's so much to unpack just in this line, okay? It's crazy. My goodness. That'd be dinosaurs, I'm gonna be honest. The less dangerous of the of all the groups here. The still active webpage for Cruise 2007 Voyage provides an especially detailed picture and itinerary. First, they plan to find the river Hiddekel and sail up the river to the city of Jehu. From there, expedition members could take an Inner Earth monorail train to visit the Lost Garden of Eden, located under America on the highest mountain plateau of the inner continent. If they got lucky, perhaps they could visit the palace of the king of the inner world. Run the bag for you, 20,000 bucks. Yeah, you got to meet the king. That's cool. If only. Ronnie Clough, a prominent member of Agnew's long-gestating expedition, has never harbored any doubts about what he would encounter upon reaching the pole, and come up with substantial evidence from scripture, from history, from science. Our Earth is indeed hollow. There are some people who also hollow, but they get a vote. Which... not good. He's sitting in 2022 interview, and I believe it to be the site of both heaven and hell. Somewhat bothers in your interpretation, if I'm being honest. Her score is inaccessible as the sun for practical purposes, has always made the hand repository for wildest fantasies. Besides its ruined tales to reality, it has a soul in piles of lifeless, charring minerals, based and rather dull. Are you sure they are lifeless? Magma people. Okay, I need to blow my nose again. Maybe this time will actually work. Give me a second, please. Okay, that was way better. I think I haven't finished yet, but that was way better for sure. The Hollow Earth conspiracy stands strong. In the refutations of science, some respecting Hollow Earthers will hear only a pitiable close-mindedness. But anyone inclined to spend the various painful vacations searching for paradise in a frozen wasteland, I consider the world of Bucknell University geologist Dwayne Griffin. There's no empirical evidence for an interplanetary void, he writes. A great deal of evidence to the contrary, and the Hollow Earth model explains nothing but the physical world that cannot be explained more simply and completely by other means. Which is actually what I was trying to say before. Nature tends to go for simplicity, usually. So usually, I repeat, usually, not every single time, the simplest explanations are usually the correct ones. Usually. Of course, sometimes there are strange things happening around, so we may need more complex explanations, but that's just normal. Excuse me. Yeah, that was a bit too rough. Hello, Earth! Probably quite unlikely. There's not to say, mind you, there are no interesting things underground. But I'm talking about ruins of ancient civilizations. Happens all the time, right? Oh yeah, they were gonna build something here, and they found the ancient Roman ruins, for example. Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. So if you keep digging, you might find something even older. I don't think that means that was all people. But I guess the people might take it that way. Okay, hold up. Give me a second, I need to fix this at once. It's gonna piss me off if I don't. Now that's working. Finally. Jeez, took me long enough. But now that we know about Hollow Earth, do you know about the Hollow Moon? That's also a thing, apparently. Hollow Moon Theory, the strange data, the famous quotes, and why the idea never fully dies. From readtherealstory.com. Unless this subsection is called conspiracy theories, both in plural. It always starts the same way. Someone repeats saying one old line about Apollo instruments, and suddenly the moon stops looking like a rock. Starts looking like a shell, a mask, a giant pale object hanging over Earth with something hidden behind the familiar face. The Hollow Moon theory is the idea that the Earth's moon is not entirely natural at all, but an artificial or partially hollow object whose strange behavior has been misunderstood, buried, or explained away. The theory still gets attention because it fits an imperfect mix of real and science, famous out of context quotes, and the unsettling feeling that the one object humans know best may also be the one we project onto most easily. That is part of why theories like the Montauk Project conspiracy survive so well too. Once a story combines a real place, a little secrecy, and just enough unanswered texture, people stop asking whether it sounds reasonable, and start asking whether it sounds possible. Okay, it's probably pretty complete. Okay, yeah, they have... Yeah, you slap before the images. I don't really care about that. The moment the moon turns uncanny, the moon is evil! It does strange images with a very scary face on the moon. Ooh, is this Majora's Mask? Most conspiracy theories depend on distance. The farther away the subject is, the easier it becomes to imagine hidden rooms, suppressed files, and impossible machinery. The moon may be the ultimate version of that. It's always present, always visible, always emotionally close, and still completely out of reach for most of everyone alive. The contradiction of the Hollow Moon theory is summoned fear. By the day, the moon seems harmless enough when it fades into a pale ghost above the clouds. But at night, it becomes something else. Casts over empty roads, open water, frozen fields, sleepy neighborhoods, and all the stories. It controls tides. It appears in myths from nearly every culture. It feels ancient without ever feeling dead. I mean, it is ancient. That is true. So when someone says the moon might not be what it seems, the claim lands harder than ordinary science rumor. It's not just a weird idea about an object in space. It's a weird idea about the oldest thing watching us back. To be fair, we've only been there a couple of times, so there's not a huge amount of exploration on the insides of the moon. It's time to go there and get some resources. Drill, baby, drill! That could be cool. That's why China wants to go there too. Not just the Americans. The car belief is simple enough to repeat in one sentence. The moon may be partly hollow, artificially structured, or intentionally placed in orbit long ago. From there, the theory branches fast. Some believers argue the moon is a vast shell with a lighter interior. Some say it's an ancient alien construction, others imagine a monitoring station, an ark, or is it a machine left above Earth for reasons humanity no longer understands. The ancient aliens. That's also kinda funny. In the wildest versions, the creatures are not just impact scars, but damage to an armor surface. And the Dark Maria? What is the Dark Maria? Roll up a place with alt repairs or deliberate camouflage. Maria, hold up. This was Dark Matter, maybe. The Irish puts in the moon called Lunar Maria. Similar muddy. Oh, Line for Seas! That makes sense. And astronomers thought these giant flat plains were actually bodies of water, but they're actually vast fields of ancient, solidified basaltic lava. Lava. Interesting. From when it crashed against the Earth, I guess. It's the most part of the theory about the origins of the moon. I think that makes sense. Where's that frame lock saying? The moon stops feeling like geology and starts feeling like evidence. Did you kill him? Had the theory formed and spread. The hollow moon theory did not begin with social media. Its modern shape came together in the space age, when the moon stopped being an unreachable symbol and became a place astronauts could land on, measure, and strike. The Apollo missions changed everything. For scientists, they created the first serious era of direct lunar study. For conspiracy-minded readers like us, they created an even more valuable thing. Technical language is magic enough to be repurposed into mystery. Taking things out of context is usually a common thing on these stories, sadly. I kinda wish they were more robust, but I guess that's fine. The most famous example is the first of the moon rung like a bell. During the Apollo era, seismometers record the vibrations caused by moonquakes and by deliberate impact from discarded spacecraft's hardware. So that's oscillations lasted longer than many people expected. In several scientific terms, that pointed toward a rigid body with different seismic behavior than Earth. In conspiracy retellings, it became the line to launch 1,000 late-night theories. Because bell rings, shells rings, empty things ring. Yeah, but things are just completely solid. Also ring. That's the problem. Have you studied physics? No? Yeah, it shows. That shows. That led us the emotional engine of the whole theory. It then picked up another layer in 1970 when Soviet writers... Okay, we have the comments here. Mikhail Vasyrin and Alexander Shcherbakov published a speculative argument asking whether the moon could be artificial. Their proposal was far outside mainstream science, but it sounded official enough to become immortal in conspiracy culture. Suddenly the theory had called war texture, through scientific authority, and a premise well enough to feel dangerous. Okay, alright, if you're gonna believe the commies, you're losing me here. Of all the people you could believe, the commies? Really? I guess it could be worse, but oh, jeez, come on. I was trusting you, and you lied to me. Usually, all the trouble theory needs, one real event, one memorable cause, one semi-official text, and a public already hungry for a hidden version of reality. Many believers keep pointing to the same clues. The strongest conspiracy arguments around the moon are rarely built on one decisive piece of evidence. They are built on a cluster of details that sound stranger in sequence than they do alone. Key evidence includes believers' point 2. The run like a bell quote. This is the theory's most famous line, repeated as if it were an accidental confession that the moon is hollow. The moon's low density compared with Earth. Believers treat this as a hint that the intruders know what a normal rocky body should be. But you don't actually know that. You need to take that into account. You need to know the weight of the moon and the gravity for that to be actually the case. If the moon is actually hollow, it will be too light. It won't stand in rotation with Earth. It will crash against Earth again. The moon's tidal locking. The fact that one side always faces Earth is scientifically explainable, but emotionally eerie enough to keep researching in theories. I mean, I will agree that the translation? I don't remember how you say that. Movement around the Earth. It's actually kinda odd when compared to the rotation around the Earth. It's the same. 28 days. That is so unique. That is so unique, but that doesn't mean it's not by chance. I guess we don't really know. The eclipse coinkydink. The moon appears almost exactly the right size in Earth's sky to cover the sun during the total solar eclipse, which some people see as too perfect to be random. But it's not the right size. It's actually smaller, because you still see the sun behind the... And I'm talking here about the China virus, the corona. Yeah, no, that's no, no. If it was perfect, you shouldn't see anything behind, right? I don't know. I don't know. I think people are just romanticizing this a little bit too much. The Soviet artificial moon speculation, because we can trust the Soviets, clearly. Passing in Sherbakov's proposal gave the theory a written foundation people still quote decades later. Blurry images and pattern seeking. It recreated shadow, ridge line, the photo, artifacting various fresh claims of towers, openings, grids, or buried structures. Still not gonna mention the face. I guess that's new tech. It's kinda funny. Oh, there's a face in the moon. Majora's Mask is real! No. No, it's just a weird mountain with specific lighting. Might look like a simplistic face. It's kinda cool when you see it. It's research facing again. Recently, I don't know why. Maybe new images. Individually, none of those points proves anything extraordinary. Together, though, they create a pattern believers find hard to shake. They're especially true for readers already drawn to stories where official explanations feel thinner than the most surrounding them. Are you gonna believe the feds? I hate to be that guy, but I don't think they're really that trustworthy. Maybe that's just me. Not saying that they're always lying, but they have lied a lot already. It's the same instant that keeps people moving from lunar theories into pages like Operation Paperclip, where documented secrecy makes the public more willing to entertain darker versions of history. I mean, we don't need to go deep into this one. Operation Paperclip is actually real. Yes, they were actually getting Nazis into positions of power because, hey, they had good scientists. Cool, whatever. The problem might come with the implications. The implications. I don't know if they actually have true blue Nazis on the top of spheres of the US. I don't know if that's even actually likely to happen. But Operation Paperclip is a fact. Where the theory breaks down. Here's the part Hell Moon believers usually resist, but it is also the part that keeps the theory from collapsing into the pure fantasy. The scientific objections are not minor. They're the center of the case. First, Run Like a Bell was never mainstream proof of a hollow interior. It was a vivid way of describing how seismic energy behaves on a dry, fractured world without oceans, weather, or Earth-like internal damping. Long-lasting vibrations do not automatically mean emptiness. It can also mean very different structural conditions. If you studied physics a little bit in high school, you would know that something just being completely solid vibrates more than liquids and then gases, because all of the atoms are just nearly packed together, so it's way easier for them to affect each other. That's what I meant before. Second, lower density is not a smoking gun. Planets, moons, and asteroids vary in composition. The most densities are already part of the mainstream formation models, especially the giant impact theory, which argues that the moon formed from debris after a colossal collision involving the early Earth. I mentioned this before. I think it's probably likely. Third, tidal locking is not rare magic. It is a non-gravitational outcome. Yeah, I was kind of surprised why they mentioned this. I was assuming because, wow, you get tides because of the moon, and the moon moves around and rotates in a very odd and specific way. Okay? But it's just gravity. It's normal. We only experience it as eerie because the moon is emotionally close enough for the fake to feel personal. I don't think we experience it as eerie. And I think the moon is emotionally close. Emotional is a very strange word to use here. And finally, the artificial moon idea has never gained serious scientific traction. Because the moon's mass, orbital behavior, geology, and internal structure all fit natural explanations. They're better than they fit in the constructed shell. What doesn't add up? The famous quote versus the real science. The theory depends heavily on a phrase that sounds explosive outside its scientific context. The coinciding problem. Inclusive and tidal locking feel meaningful, but feeling meaningful is not the same as being engineered. Fair. The evidence quality. Most visual proof comes from blurry imagery, ambiguous shadows, or repeated reinterpretation of all material. What about the face? I think that one is funny. The skill problem. In constructing the moon would require engineering so extreme, the theory usually skips over how such a thing would even be built or placed. Ancient aliens in Egypt. Obviously so. Come on. And the survival problem. The more dramatic the claim becomes, the less clear it is if it could remain hidden through decades of lunar study. I mean, sure, it's decades of lunar study, but what about the study of the inner part of the moon, right? In that case, I don't think this point is actually that solid. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I actually don't know enough about what they did in the moon. That does not kill the theory, it just reveals what kind of theory it really is. Hollow Moon survives not because it wins the scientific argument, but because it wins the emotional one. It is a familiar object and gives it the secret interior. That is catnip for the human mind. We love cats. Why the idea never fully dies? The theory endures because the moon is the most symbolically powerful. To remain ordinary has always been more than scenery. In shaped calendars, rituals, navigation, poetry, folklore, religion, and fear. It appears at the edge of disappearances, shipwrecks, stories, battlefield letters, and campfire myths. The moon does not have to be artificial to feel charged, it already does. But not in a way like the sun does, that's so odd to me. Right? It is a strange comparison. The moon feels mystical because it's just right there, but what about the sun? I guess you have also sun gods, maybe. I guess that's fair, when you think about it for more than 5 seconds. I don't know, the sun has never been eerie, but that's also the ancient fight between good and evil. The light and darkness of the night. This is why every new cycle looks the same. A quote resurfaces, a video claims, it craters to perfect. A commentator says Apollo data hinted something NASA never wanted to say plainly. Skeptics answer, scientists explain. The noise fades. Then the moon rises again. Huge and white over a dark horizon, and the theory gets all its strength back for free. In that sense, Hollow Moon belongs beside mysteriously the Summer of the Man case. Summer of the Man case? Don't know anything about this one. What's the Summer of the Man? The body in the beach, the secret message, and the identification to solve only part of the mystery. No. No idea about that one, I mean. Not for today, clearly. Very different facts, very different things, but the same mechanism of endurance. A hard object of evidence surrounded by a much larger field of projection. Doubt. And unresolved atmosphere. Maybe that's the real secret of the Hollow Moon. No, of the Hollow Moon theory. It does not need to prove the moon is artificial. It only needs to make people look up and feel for a second that the night has shifted. That what seemed ancient and so many may actually be staged. That the sky above us contains one huge familiar thing that has never fully split itself. And once that feels themselves saying, the result happens naturally. So we have the FAQ here, and that's it. Wow. I mean, if I'm being honest, I think the moon being hollow is more likely than the Earth being hollow. For whatever it's worth, it's not really that worth. It's not really worth anything. But for whatever that's worth, I think that's actually somewhat fair. Not really useful, not really real. But fair, I guess. It's not the only thing we have for the moon, clearly. After all, they mentioned them here, so of course, we had to mention them ourselves. Was Adolf Hitler the first man on the moon? A look at crackpot NASA theories from 2016. A lot of this shit is actually kind of difficult to find nowadays. Also, old Instagram icon. You know the shit is old. From War History Online. Look at this man. My goodness. Space exploration is a topic with plenty of conspiracy theories. One such theory is that the Nazis used an Antarctic base to launch themselves into outer space. Apparently they had some sort of advanced crafts? Aircrafts at least. I don't know if they're quite spacecrafts. And now you understand why the Americans took their scientists. Yeah, they were actually pretty correct. Although the theories have been ridiculed for decades, they continue to persist. Adolf Hitler's fate at the end of the Second World War has been minutely examined by historians and conspiracy theorists. Some refuse to believe the evidence and state that Hitler survived the war. The theories that have emerged range from Hitler finding a refuge in South America to the construction of an underground city in Antarctica. But the most bizarre, however, is that instead of Adolf Hitler returning to outer space. To be fair, the thing about South America seems to be very plausible. There are some people mentioning, oh yeah, we got the Nazis running into Spain, taking some sort of submarine, so they could flee from Europe. And you could also see people from South America saying, oh yeah, we had some Germans here. That guy, that old grandpa, literally looked like Adolf Hitler. I mean, I don't think Hitler looks really South American. So, such an striking resemblance should be of note, I guess. I'm not saying it's the truth, but I'm saying it's actually believable, and it's unlike some of the things we've written today. Basically, the theory states that Hitler made his way into the underground Antarctic city that was built by the Nazis, and from there he took a rocket to the moon. It was this theory, by the way, that formed the basis of the science fiction novel Rocket Ship Galileo, published by Robert Heinlein in 1947. Theory or truth? Partly in response to the resurgence of Nazi moon theories and to tend to quieten the conspirators, NASA published thousands of extra pictures of the manned moon landings in February of this year. They're clearly staged. For a majority of the population, the first moon landing was the unmanned Soviet Luna 9 in 1966. It was the 12th attempt of the Soviets, and it transmitted the first 1 pictures of the moon. The Luna 9 landing proved that a spacecraft could not sink into lunar dust upon the surface. Yeah, it's not dust, it's actually solid. They're gonna be like, oh, of course you can tell from here, right? You actually don't know. You want to make sure first. I think that's reasonable. Directly after the war, rumors circulated that Hitler's astronauts had embarked on secret missions to establish facilities upon the moon. Canadians have been thrown between the Nazis and sightings of UFOs, including one incident near Roswell, New Mexico, in 1947. The only craft at the time that could approach the capabilities attributed to flying saucers were those designed by the Germans, including Sir Roy Fadden, a distinguished aeronautical engineer. You know what I'm thinking right now? It would be crazy to have some sort of video game with a bunch of crazy conspiracy theories like this one. You start exploring the moon and suddenly, Nazi people. Wow, what the fuck? That would be crazy. Maybe if HyperNet Explorer ever releases, that game is gonna be absolutely fucking bonkers. The theory that Hitler ended up in Antarctica goes hand in hand with the conspiracy theories, Nazi moon theories. Nazi moon enthusiasts believe that the UFO incidents in the 50s and 60s were the result of the surviving Nazi SS and their spaceships were operated from a giant city and factory complex beneath the Antarctic ice. The people nobody were expecting. Nazi Germany. Yeah, I don't think they count as a faction anymore, but it's hard to tell. They also believe that the Nazi had the capabilities to build a spaceship to have their own arguments to prove their theory. Nick Cook, a aeronautical expert and the writer of the Hunt for Zero Point, cautioned critics. It will be a mistake to disregard the research in Germany in the 30s and 40s just because it was done in the Third Reich. Which, fair, just because it's people to the line doesn't mean the research is not valuable. That's why Operation Paperclip. Even goes on to say that such a suppression of facts is unethical and is comparable to the error of suppression of facts. Nothing has changed when you think about it. Fending asks his support to the theory, saying, I have seen enough of their German designs and production plans to realize that if they had managed to prolong the war some month longer, they would have been confronted with a set of entirely new and deadly developments in air warfare. and not too much about their workforce. I don't know what they mean here exactly. The Nazi News reporters claim that, aside from Hitler's disappearance, there are several other mysterious disappearances that support their theory. Much of the Nazis' wealth, which includes a supposed pile of gold, remains unaccounted for. Name and submarines disappeared and were not sunk or captured. Well, I don't know about the subs, but the Nazi gold, I'm gonna be honest, it was probably the British. I have been the Soviets. And potentially George Soros. Sounds crazy, I know, but potentially George Soros. It's right there. It's just right there. The submarines, according to theorists, were last seen heading to the South Pole. As for Hitler himself, Commission thought that he shot himself during a Soviet assault. His body was then taken outside, doused in gasoline, and set on fire. While the Soviets claimed to have identified Hitler's body through the lower half of his jaw, many theorists remain unconvinced. Some people say the jaw they have, or the skull they have, is actually of a woman. Trans Hitler confirmed? More likely than you think. According to conspiracy theorists, Hitler had considered the advantages of a lunar base long before his regime crumbled. A lunar base would exploit military high ground, according to Fallon. I mean, quite literally the highest ground. The other global superpowers would be confined to the Earth, while the Nazis could mine the abundant minerals on the Moon. It's logical, it just makes sense, right? Some theorists even insist that pictures prove that the excavation on the Moon was an ongoing project during the Third Reich. They even go as far as suggesting that this was when NASA abandoned the Apollo program, for fear of a war with the remnants of the Nazi regime. Okay, that would be funny. That would be funny. America versus the Nazis 2. Absolutely hilarious. I mean, it's an interesting theory. It's one of the crazier ones, probably. I think it's funny to think about. I don't think they're on the Moon. I think they're probably just in South America. What can you say? That just makes sense to me. But some people are not convinced. Some people are not convinced that the Moon is actually real. So if that was the case, even these theories would be for naught. For example, we have this here. Let me make sure this is fine. Okay, it is. Can't define it, delete the user. Sadly, I could only find something close to this on Reddit of all places, which is not great. But I do remember videos back in the day on YouTube talking about, oh yeah, the moon is not real. The moon is not real, it's just a hologram. And it has you wondering a little bit. I don't know exactly what they're gonna talk about here. They're gonna mention a bunch of different things. I mean, it's pretty funny. I will, when we finish this, I might supplement this with some knowledge of my own from stuff I've seen back in the day. 9 years ago, the moon is a hologram. There's night time, perhaps you're outside, or you peer through your window, and you see the every glow of Earth's only natural satellite as it illuminates the dark world around you. You look up and you think, that's the moon. You see it with your own two eyes, and billions of people do the same thing, the same every single night. So they come off as preposterous for someone to come along and tell you that the moon isn't real. Well, yeah, it's quite preposterous that that's true. But it isn't. The moon is fake, and what you've been looking at is not what you think it is. What you have been told is not the truth. Can only wait for conspiracy theories. You know what? It's not actually real. It was just AI. They're coming. I know they're coming. To begin, there's no evidence that the moon exists. The only evidence that does exist comes from the 12 men who have supposedly walked across the moon. Buzz Aldrin, Neil Armstrong, Alan Bean, Eugene Cernan, Pete Conrad, Charles Duke, James Irwin, Edgar Mitchell, Harrison Schmidt, David Scott, Alan Shepard, and John Young. All of whom were Americans working for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration's NASA space program. To extend the witness testimony of these presumed astronauts is to set the fairy tale narrative that has been proposed by the United States government, and this testimony should be taken with a grain of salt, especially considering that the space program was a hoax, including the moon landing. Here we go. Director Stanley Kubrick is known to have assisted NASA in the filming of the moon landing on a Hollywood movie set. And even the videographer of the film has come out and admitted outrightly that it was a hoax, saying, "After walking on the moon in the summer of 1965, 4 full years ahead of Neil Armstrong, of course, neither I nor the Apollo boys really set foot on the moon." I understand having a studio version of the landing for theatrics, especially because it was the Cold War. That doesn't mean they didn't reach the point. They didn't reach the moon. But oh well. Enough. I was a bit young. Very famous movie The Shining depicted the director's admission to his assistance in the moon landing hoax. But the evidence in the film had to be pointed out by Jay Weidner, who pointed out in one scene that Dan sits on the floor playing with his drugs. He wears a sweater with a picture of Apollo 11, Apollo 11 on the front, and then rises from the floor as if he's launching the rocket. I don't know, man, it's just a kid playing. I think you're looking into the... who knows? Such details were all included in the film because of Kubrick's involvement in the whole scheme. Shame? The whole shit? With all things considered, Kubrick can feel said that there is no evidence that NASA ever actually made it to the moon, which refutes a huge part of the generally accepted theory that the moon isn't real at all. Well, I've never been to Australia, so I guess Australia is not real either. Some people actually say that. Oh, Australia's not real. Get fucked, Australians. Next, the only other evidence that suggests the moon to be real comes from ancient depictions of the moon. That's why it's a little easier to disprove. Obviously, any ancient artwork that includes a representation of the moon has either been properly categorized in that it actually depicts the sun or another proven celestial body, but it has been put there by the US government to assure the masses that the moon is real, and always has been real. What about the moon goddesses of millennia ago? What about the moon goddesses of Roman mythology? What about the moon goddesses of Japanese mythology? It was all the feds? Difficult to believe, I'm gonna be honest. After all, the moon only came into existence as a concept, and as a generally accepted natural satellite in the 20th century. It was the work of the US government to do as much. And neither notion put forward, like these artifacts have not been tampered with, or alleged by the deceitful government that, given the reading above, has been proven to lie and lie and lie over and over and over again. Look, I'm the first guy to say the government lies, but this is a little bit too deep even for me. The guy keeps going, so fret not. Now, given that the evidence provided proves the moon to be fake and never existed prior to the 20th century, even though you actually didn't give me any kind of source for this, it can be further shown just how the moon is actually a hologram. There has been video evidence recording that what have been called lunar waves, which resemble the typical glitches one would expect to see in holographic figures. The people who filmed this from Breaking Evidence wrote, "Having spent over a year beyond the moon on a regular basis, I have come to the conclusion that the moon may not be what we think it is. There is the bulge appearance of the organic wave and the tilt which roughly matches to the tilt of the moon. The wave begins at the southern pole, as does the second wave. The pan of the camera makes a difference in the world of this footage." Okay, I haven't seen the video. Let us say, is this still a thing? I guess so. For about 5 minutes. Row 777. Holy, okay, alright. Okay, I guess we might be watching the video. Big conspiracy from 2012, actually. Yeah, that cannot be 2012. Copyright is 2012, but the video cannot be 2012. Mm, 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 mm. The first lunar wave from September 2012. It was being uploaded November 2013. Why? Why it took you a full year to upload this? Yeah, that was already established 12 years ago. I would know. Let's see. It's AI, clearly.
Okay, I want to say thank you to the Jungle Surfer for the narration request and getting this out to his viewers. My hope is that a lot of people get to see this. It's the real deal. Give me a second. Let me get the clip started here.
Buckle lip.
So I'm filming one night looking for objects. I pan my camera down and the wave
dude.
starts, this hologram wave. I don't notice it. And then it catches up to the camera and I do notice it. I glance at the moon, but when you're staring at things, you know, you don't know whether it's your eyes or what. And then I notice a second wave coming. And at
That's clearly a camera effect,
this point,
right? Especially with old cameras. We've seen this on TV. We've seen this on all TV. It's not a perfect image.
I'm thinking it's my camera. I look up at the moon again, and you know, I just don't know what to think. I save the clip out. I don't delete it. I almost did, and I look at it for quite some time, weeks maybe, looking at it over and over, and I'm realizing that, you know, this is not the way a digital camera malfunctions. This is an organic line, no pixelation, no shredding
Organic line, no pixelation. What?
of the signal. And it finally dawns on me that the pan of the camera proves it. When I pan down, and I usually don't shoot this way, I usually stay centered, almost always stay centered, trying to increase my odds of catching something unusual. But when I pan down, the wave starts, and I pan in front of the wave, which catches up to the camera, and that is the proof in the pudding.
Okay, that would be pretty interesting if that was the case, but you can just edit that in for the video. I don't know, man. I don't know.
You'll
Just
notice
trust
a
me,
couple
brother,
things.
here.
The wave looks like it bulges in the center, as if it's going down. If you stop the frame and measure it, you'll see that the sides are lower than
Give me how the image is shaking. That might be just some sort of gas in the atmosphere too.
in the center, so there's kind of a bulge, and it's also tilted
Could be a
little
web of
bit,
something else.
and it mirrors the tilt of the poles of the moon. I haven't measured it exactly, but visually
There's nothing calling this wave a hologram, for lack of a better term, as notice the bulge appearance of the organic wave crossing a round object, and the tilt which roughly matches the tilt of the moon. Also, the wave begins at the southern pole as does the second wave. But the camera was pure luck, but makes all the difference in the world for this
you
footage.
can tell. I would urge people to go look at Jive Bop and Gridkeeper. Gridkeeper catches structures, and Jive Bop has done some incredible work with incredible setup, and he claims you can see through the floor of the mare or the mare, the seas on the
Care enough
moon,
with that.
and you can see structure and stuff under there. By the way, if I don't comment back, I apologize. I'm not.
We can see the image of the moon is already not static. It's not just perfectly static. That's a problem for this theory.
Going to use Google Plus.
It's bubbly.
I'm boycotting it. I have another video on this. I have a degree in internet technology, and I tell you a few reasons why it's bad.
I don't know. This seems like bunk to me. This seems like bunk to me. Like many other things, I suppose. Okay, we can bring this back up again. And we can bring back the music. Having others to film the glitches that appear on the moon's surface, but the video linked above by far provides the best example. Obviously, if the moon were real, there would be no such thing as a lunar wave. But of course, if the moon truly were real, there would ever be a witness to this small, seemingly insignificant glitches in the system. The system, of course, is supported by several unregistered satellites orbiting Earth. And the first of these unregistered satellites from the US appeared in 1965. Amazing, isn't it? And the holographic moon was launched at the same time The videographer from the group filming of the moon landing reported that they had begun filming on the set. Furthermore, even though there was Resolution 1721b from the United Nations in 1962, which called for UN members to report the objects they sent into space, the US did not retrospectively register its pre-1962 laws. Instead, it's not retrospectively, it's retroactively, and laws are never retroactive, so they don't have to. And number have not been registered in violation of Resolution 1721b. As all evidence suggests, the moon is a hologram set up by the US government and maintained by a series of unregistered satellites in space that power the projection of the big ivory object, so many people believe to be real. So, the moon is a hologram. After coming to this obvious conclusion, you may come to wonder, well, what possible benefit could there be to create a holographic moon? The benefit, of course, is a financial one, as Stream Tank reports. Back in 1973, the total cost of the Apollo program reported to Congress was 25.4 billion USD. In 2009, NASA looked back at the cost of the Apollo program in its entirety, and it arrived at a figure of 170 billion in 2005 dollars, or around 200 billion in today's money. But you don't need the moon for that, man. You can just waste money with immigrants. Imagine my shock. Roughly 200 billion was spent on the Apollo program. This money obviously never went towards any actual space research. Do you know? Actually really expensive. I was never used to fund expeditions for the previously mentioned 12 astronauts to walk across the non-existent lunar surface. Instead, all of that money was funneled into the underground shadow government, led by John F. Kennedy after his assassination was faked, which was just another lie told to the masses by the deceitful US government. Well, there we go. I hope that you all have opened your eyes. Edit. I know what my links won't work, but yeah, I get the point. Never mind, fixed. You really believe the US is governed by a shadow government led by JFK? JFK! Yeah. Yeah. That's probably the most unbelievable thing of this whole piece of text here. My goodness. Trust me, if the US was actually controlled by JFK, things would be better. But it isn't. There's the deeper state, there's the shadow government. It doesn't mean what you think it means. I'm afraid. And you should also be very afraid. But that's a completely different conversation. Of course. Absolutely bonkers. Didn't mention it here, which I think it's kind of a shame, but some videos that were running around almost 10 years ago at this point mentioned that, of course, the moon is fake. Because you can see the sky through the moon. That means it's not real. They were showing images of the moon in the sky when it's already sunny out, which happens all the time, right? And of course, you see blue, quote unquote, behind the moon, because it's not a full moon yet. You don't see the sky behind the moon, meaning the moon should be closer than what we think. No, you're seeing the moon through the atmosphere. It's the atmosphere that creates that blue effect. That color's actually not acting out of space. It's dark as fuck. So no, it's not that you're looking at the sky through the moon, it's that you're looking to the moon through the sky. So instead of seeing blackness, you see blue, because the sky is blue and it's in front. Wow. Wow! There's no way I'm gonna believe that! Absolutely crazy, dude. Absolutely crazy. Of course, the conspiracy theories never stop here. I kinda think we should do JFK kind of thing next time. I don't know enough about the JFK assassination. Could be something interesting to explore, maybe, potentially. But that's hilarious. That's very hilarious to me. Ah, the shadow government controlled by JFK. You wish you had JFK. Yeah, well, be comfortable with the fucking joke right now. It's not real. I've seen what Israel is doing. You kinda lied to me, pal. That's not a conspiracy theory, I'm afraid. So it's not necessary to talk about that today. But let's not be mistaken. Apparently, even the universe is a hologram. That's actually no one to me. Very, very strange. It's from scientificamerican.com. I guess they're just gonna debate this idea in a somewhat scornful way, which I guess is fair. November 30th, 2022. Sir Universal Hologram? Physicists debate famous idea on its 25th anniversary. The ads, I'm sick of the ads. Its specificity duality conjecture suggests that the universe is a hologram. Enabled significant discoveries in the 25 years since it was first proposed. Not really an old theory, I guess. 25 years ago this month, a creature showed the world of theoretical physics. It had theory of revelation. At first, we had a medical statement, almost out of nowhere. There's Mark van Ramsdonk. I don't know if I want to make a joke about, oh hi Mark, or a joke about Donk. Welcome to both! A theoretical physicist at the University of British Columbia, Vancouver. The idea put forth by not John, but Juan Maldacena of the Institute of Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, hinted at something profound, that our universe could be a hologram. Much like a 3D hologram emerges from the information coding a 2D surface, our universe's 4D space-time could be holographic creation of a lower dimensional reality. You're losing me. You're losing me with this one. Don't want to be like, oh, these people are crazy, these people are insane, these people are crazy. And these people are insane. Clearly. But I'm trying to wrap up the idea here. The hologram measures the information going to the surface. But this is backwards. Our universe's 4D space-time could be a holographic creation of a lower dimensional reality. No, I don't think so. Isn't the 4th dimension time anyway? I don't know, I'm a bit too stupid to understand this actually. Don't want to call them stupid, they're the scientists, not me. Sadly. Specifically, Maldacena showed that or Maldacena, I'm not quite sure, showed that a 5-dimensional theory of a type of imaginary space-time called anti-de space, ATS, that included gravity could describe the same system as a lower dimensional quantum field theory of particles and fields in the absence of gravity, called the conformal field theory, CFT. In other words, he found 2 different theories that could both describe the same physical system. Showing that the theories were in a sense equivalent, even though they each include different numbers of dimensions, and one factoring gravity where the other one didn't. Shouldn't you factor gravity if you're talking about the universe? I think that's a zero-sum game, but I actually don't know. On that note, then surmised this ATS/CFT duality would hold for the pair of theories, with the one having a singular dimension than the other, possibly even those describing 4D space-time like ours. I think this is trying to be too gigabrain. I'm gonna be honest. So, we can potentially understand a 4D object with our 3D brains, using that as an excuse to justify 5D shenanigans, I don't think makes a lot of sense. I could be wrong. I'm not a gigabrain scientist here, but it just feels really strange to me. Because you can need to demonstrate those dimensional spaces are real. I don't know. I'm a bit too simplistic for this. Thankfully, this is not the most important thing we have. The conjecture was both intriguing and shocking. How could a theory that includes gravity be the same as a theory that has no place for gravity? You're not gonna try to tell me that gravity is the 5th dimension you depreciate with this, right? I don't think it's a dimension, I think it's just a force. How could it describe the same universe? But the duality has largely held up. In essence, it argues that the goings-on inside of some volume of space-time that has gravity can be understood by studying the quantum mechanical behavior of particles and fields at the volume surface, using a theory with one less dimension, in which gravity plays no role. Sometimes some things are easier to understand in one description than the other, and knowing that you are really talking about the same physics is very powerful, says Netta Engelhardt, a theoretical physicist at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I don't know why, but this very powerful statement here seems very odd to me. It's usually used for propagandized individuals. It has nothing to do with anything else. I just think it's weird. Am I the only one? Might be. I might be, I don't know. It just sounds so odd. It's usually used by the worst people on this planet. 25 years in Maldacena murdered the idea, physicists have used this power to address questions about whether or not black holes destroy information. Better understanding early epoch in our universe's history called inflation. Well, I can tell you anything about inflation. Not good, in economics at least. And to arrive at an astonishing conclusion, that space-time may not be fundamental, but something that emerges from quantum entanglement in a lower dimensional system. Granted, all of these advances involve the theoretically plausible space-time of entity zero space, which is not the zero space that describes our universe. But physicists are optimistic that they'll one day arrive at a duality that works for both. If that were to happen, the idea could help develop a theory of quantum gravity, one that would combine Einstein's general relativity with quantum mechanics. It also implies that our universe is a hologram in truth. I think this is just gigacope. Is it wrong for me to say that? Potentially. But it just seems like gigacope to me. This is just scientists being insane schizophrenic, trying to tell me their delusions are real. If that makes any sense. I don't know how else to explain it. Maybe to stop it for this. I'm gonna assume that's the case. This kind of goes on and on. I think it's gonna be way too convoluted for us to properly understand this. We should probably jump to something else. I kinda thought this was something else, I'm gonna be honest. This is just scientist philosophy at best. So I guess we can jump to the next thing we have for today. Okay, let me make sure. Alright. Nothing weird. That's cool. That's cool. Oh. Fuck, my throat is killing me today. So, after this, we also have... You heard about one moon? What about the second moon? And I'm not talking about that piece of debris that apparently it's orbiting us for a little bit. No, we're talking about actual two moons. From discoverworldscience.com, when Earth had two moons, the hypothesis that just one die. By Jose Orozco here. I think I need to change my... Yep. I need to change my cropping here. There we go. Make I'm over here to the side. We don't have a lot of space here to the side, so everything is fine. Picture this. You're still outside on a warm summer night. Gaze up at the sky. Instead of a familiar solitary moon, it's the glowing orb drifting across the heavens. Sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but for decades. Scientists and dreamers alike have been captivated by the possibility that our planet once boasted not one, but two moons. The idea is as magical as it's mysterious, and the science behind it is just fascinating. What if our world really did have a lunar twin? Stepping into the depths of this intriguing hypothesis, and discover where white refuses to fade away. I mean, why not? It's cool, right? What about the second moon? I get one of them. You guys can get the other one. The birth of the two-moon hypothesis. The two-moons idea did just pop up overnight. Back in the early 20th century, astronomers started to wonder if the moon we see now might have had a companion. The official theory first gained momentum in the 60s, as researchers tried to make sense of our moon's odd-surface features in strange ways across its distributed. There was once a second, smaller moon. Could they have collided with the bigger one, creating the landscape we marvel at today? This question still fuels scientific debates and late-night stargate sensations. What inspired the curiosity? It's so bumpy, just like a teenager. For many scientists, the moon's face has always been a puzzle. Silence and Maria, those dark, smooth plains, tend to tell different stories. The far side of the moon looks nothing like the side that greets us each night. This altimetry led some researchers to wonder, did a cosmic event, like a slow-motion collision, change the moon's features? If so, could the second moon have been the missing piece of that puzzle? The curiosity only grows the more we look. Ah, fuck. I was a cracking noise, might have been my headset, might have been the music. I hope it was the music. I hope it was not the headset, that could be a problem. I already mentioned that the cable is a little bit scuffed. The giant diploid theory and its challenges. The most widely accepted explanation for the moon's existence is the giant diploid theory. It proposes that a Mars-sized body, often called Theia, slowed into the young Earth billions of years ago, thus in the breeze into space that eventually coalesced into our moon. But this idea leaves some questions unanswered, especially about the moon's crust and its uneven composition. That's where the two-moon hypothesis steps in, offering an impossible twist to the classic story. I mean, could have been just a big comet at some point that crashed, right? Also that, for example. You have different materials for sure. The slow cosmic dance, that's a big moon. Banging two moons, each locked in a delicate ballet around the Earth. Over millions of years, gravitational forces would nudge and pull them, gradually drawing them closer together. Some simulations suggest that, following a violent impact, the smaller moon can be gently splattered onto the larger one. This would split the thick, mountainous highlands on the moon's far side, as if cosmic putty can't be smeared across it in slow motion. Look at those perfect craters. Do you think this is not made by the pets? If folly. Just hitting lunar highlands. I would say these are probably lowlands. But what? This image is so clear. The lunar highlands, vast rugged regions that blanket the far side of the moon, are a crucial piece of this puzzle. Their chemical composition and thickness have long stunned scientists. If a second moon once existed, a slow merger with the main moon could have piled on material to create these highlands. It's a striking idea, like layers of icing on cosmic cake. And it could explain the moon's most dramatic features. Lopsided moon, more than meets the eye. Isn't really lopsided. I don't think it's that bad. It's a bit of lopsidedness here. But it could be an effect from the atmosphere, maybe. One of the strange things about the moon is its lopsidedness. Because on the far side is much thicker, and the rear side has huge dark maria. No other moon in the solar system displays this kind of one-sided makeover. It's naturally a spacecraft. Yet the moon hypothesis provides a tantalizing answer. Perhaps the smaller moon's remains were plastered to one hemisphere, creating the moon's split personality. I guess that's possible. Computer models and simulations. Scientists have used powerful computer simulations to test the two-moon idea. These detailed experiments show that, under the right conditions, a second moon could have orbited Earth in a stable pattern for millions of years. Eventually, gravitational forces would drive the two bodies together. The simulations have been shown how a slow, out-centric collision would create the unique landscapes we see today, backing up the hypothesis with modern technology. Sure, you don't have a video here for that. What happened to the second moon? Yeah, there really was a second moon. Where is it now? According to the hypothesis, it's not gone, it's just being absorbed. The material from the smaller moon would have to spread out across the far side of the surviving moon, spreading what that region looks so different. Some scientists think tiny pieces of the ancient twin might still be buried within the crust. hidden like fossils waiting to be discovered. That'll be so cool to see in real life. Echoing ancient myths and legends. So it's just a bunch of short points here. I guess I'm fine with this. In EF2 moons isn't just a modern scientific curiosity, it echoes in the midst of ancient cultures. Some Native American legends speak of a time when the sky had two moons. There were early group stories mentioning a single celestial body. While these tales are not scientific proof, they add poetic layers to the mystery, showing how the cosmos has always captured our imagination. Some people were wearing fan fiction and they took it as fact. In such cases. And so there were temporary moons. Believe it or not, Earth has occasionally captured small asteroids that orbit as mini-moons for a short time period before drifting away. These temporary companions show that our planet is capable of hosting more than one moon, aiming only briefly. It's a reminder that the heavens are dynamic and full of surprises. And about the science of moon formation. Looks so delicious. Biting all of this cheese. This moon hypothesis forces scientists to reconsider what they know about how moons form. It challenges the assumption that moon creation is always a one-time event. Instead, it suggests that planetary systems might be messier, with multiple satellites forming, colliding, and merging over time. This fresh perspective keeps researchers on their toes. And the hypothesis refers today. Despite skepticism, the two-moon idea keeps surfacing. The data from lunar missions, improved computer models, and better understanding of celestial mechanics all breathe life into this theory. Some scientists are drawn to it because it dares to ask the big questions and refuse to settle for easy answers. The enduring appeal lies in its ability to explain the moon's oddities when nothing else quite fits. Full of NASA lunar missions. Think this is not the moon, but Mars, but who cares, right? NASA lunar missions, especially the Apollo landings, have provided a treasure trove of moon rocks and data. These samples reveal subtle differences in composition between the near and far sides of the moon, which are difficult to explain with the giant impact theory alone. Every new mission brings the hope of uncovering further evidence that might support or finally refute the two-moon hypothesis. Critics and skeptics weigh in. Not everyone is convinced by the two-moon story. Some experts argue that the evidence is circumstantial, and that other explanations, like an even cooling or tidal forces, could account for the moon's strange features. The debate is lively and sometimes heated, but that's what makes the science exciting. When planetary scientists put it, you're challenging the status quo, you're not really doing science. Oh, current events! Current events! He said the thing! He said the thing. What if we had the moons today? Europa, Ganymede, and a bunch of other ones. Imagine how different life on Earth would be if we still had the moons. The Earth would be more complex, with unpredictable rhythms, and the skies would be brighter, inspiring poets and painters alike. Some scientists are even speculating that double moons could have influenced early evolution, shifting light and dark patterns, shaping the behavior of fish and creatures. I guess. I don't know if that's too believable. The enduring mystery. The hypothesis of Earth's two moons is more than a scientific theory. It's a theory that invites us to look up and wonder. It's just a single and answer question can inspire generations of thinkers. From storytellers to these top scientists. Whether or not it's ever proven true, it reminds us of how much we still have to learn about our planet and its place in the universe. An image like this was what I was mentioning before with seeing the sky through the moon, which obviously doesn't make any sense, right? Looking up, what will we discover next? The sky is full of secrets, and so the first two moons is just one of them. With each new mission and every passing year, we come a little closer to unraveling the mysteries of our cosmic neighborhood. Will we ever find definitive proof of a long-lost lunar thing? For now, all we can do is keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop marveling at the wonders above us. More poetic than actually informative. But I guess that's interesting nonetheless. The two moons. That's an interesting idea, I would say. Is it believable? I don't know. I guess it's possible. And that might be good enough for us. That might be good enough for us. But that's still not the answer today. we still have a little bit more. Because, of course, what happens in the universe? The moon, oh, beautiful. The moon, the earth, even the sun. Sometimes they relate to each other. Sometimes things happen around them. And you know what is the biggest connection between all of them? Of course, an eclipse. Solar eclipse. Nobody fucking cares about the moon eclipse, right? I don't think they're bad, but whatever. March 19th, 2024. It's kind of funny because there's a solar eclipse coming up next week, by the way. Solar eclipse sparks wild conspiracy theories. Yeah, Alice Hagen? Okay, they're not gonna cock me. I thought that could be the case for a second. Social media has become awash with conspiracy theories over the upcoming total solar eclipse that will affect millions of Americans next month. A total eclipse will be experienced in 13 states on April 8th, a rare astronomical event in which the skies will return dark from daylight hours. Such events take place when the moon passes between the sun and the earth, completely blocking the face of the sun. But despite the perfectly reasonable scientific explanation for why the eclipse is happening, it hasn't stopped conspiracy theorists from drumming up wild theories about the forthcoming astronomical event. No conspiracy theorist, Alex Jones! Of course he did. They're gonna make the eclipse gay. They're making the moon gay! Fucking chemicals in the water. Posted a nearly 8-minute long video in X, formerly Twitter, which claimed that the eclipse is a sign from God and the Department of Homeland Security preparing to hijack the so-called biblical event. He gives no reason for why Homeland Security would do that. Why not? Harness the power of darkness. Summon the castle of Dracula here. Why wouldn't you? According to the clip, which was also posted on his widely discredited website, Infowars, discredited. Look at the skeptics. The eclipse will pass over 8 US cities named Nineveh? Nineveh? I don't know how to say that. However, only 2 of the 8 places named Nineveh in the US, namely Nevada, Indiana, and Nineveh, Ohio, will experience the total solar eclipse on April 8th. To say me, you need to change the name. You had to say Nine Bay and Niv 2. That's it. It's still be easier for me. Infowars also claimed the coming eclipse has similarities to the Borsigal eclipse, or a Syrian eclipse during the time when John approached Nineveh and urged the Assyrian people to repent. It doesn't have any further explanation about the connection. It's right there. You don't need it. It's so obvious. I think my glasses are a little bit borked. Shouldn't be. Nah, they're a little bit borked. Eh, it's fine. Kinda look much more retarded than I really look. Yes, we contacted Infowars for comment via email. Users have also speculated without evidence regarding alternative meanings for the solar eclipse. One user, posting under the name Alex1575, wrote, "In my opinion, I think April eclipse is the catalyst, yes, for a huge earthquake at the New Madrid fault line or intersection of the 3 eclipses." I guess it didn't happen. The conspiracy theory relates to a series of earthquakes in the Mississippi Valley out on the New Madrid fault line, also known as New Madrid seismic zone. Yeah, I guess you guys in the US also have a Madrid, huh? It's the same in Europe. Well, it's not new, it's old, I guess, right? Capital is for Spain, I'm pretty sure. There occurred several months after a solar eclipse that crossed America in 1811. There's no scientific evidence to suggest the eclipse caused the earthquakes. Why not? That could be the case. Other theories that engage in a wholesale reaction of science have also gained traction online. Another user posting under the name Sarah wrote, "The blue line is the path, a totality which happens to be the same as the line of storms that just came through the Midwest." It's the government controlling the eclipses. The post appears to refer to the recent storms and tornadoes that struck Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky over the weekend. Although it's known that eclipses can sometimes result in temporary and minor changes in the wind and temperature, They only occurred during the event and aren't related to weather events in the months before solar eclipse. So I guess that also didn't happen. Will something happen this time? Probably not. I mean, maybe, but probably not, right? We had to be fair. We'll see. We'll see. But when we talk about the Earth, the Moon, potentially the Sun, in solar eclipses, there's something that happens that becomes of note, and we have to mention it here again. The hidden planets, Nibiru, sometimes meant to appear during eclipses, which I don't think that's something I've heard before, but I guess so. From Science ABC. Written by Vishal Thakur. God damn it, even the conspiracy theories are being replaced by fucking Indians. It's so over for us. May 15th, 2026. As updated, whatever you say. Nibiru, also called Planet X, is a pseudo-scientific claim of a massive planet on a collision course with Earth. It's not a real planet. Astronomers have never detected it. They never predicted the present date, 2003, 2012, 2017, has come and gone without incident. The theory is only rejected by NASA and the mainstream scientific community. The feds? Yeah, like I'm gonna believe them. Doomsday scenarios have always been exciting fodder for fear-mongering and sensationalism. Declaring at a certain point in time, the future as the day of the complete annihilation of humanity on Earth, event that will usher in the apocalypse, has come throughout history in countless ways. Nah, it's gonna be because of something stupid. Devastation through natural disasters, rebellion from intelligent robots, and annihilation through nuclear warfare, in some of the ways that the fear of catastrophe and the extinction of the human race has been spread to the masses. If I speak, I make it banned. So, sure, nuclear warfare, I'm gonna go with that one. But the most fascinating ways, the end times have been predicted through the Nibiru cataclysm. In the 90s, this catastrophic event was predicted to occur sometimes in the early 21st century. The collision of Earth with a large planetary object called Nibiru, or Planet X. The myth has since evolved in many strange ways, in line with the Mayan prophecy of the world ending in 2012. On some estimates, its return to Earth will be in the 2900, yeah. I'm gonna forget by then. All the talk about Nibiru can safely be dismissed as pseudoscience and myth-making, but let's open this Pandora's box of the absurd and understand its significance, or at least why it has intrigued so many minds. Nancy later on the origins of Nibiru. Hail Bob. Is that a Bob? For our first plunge into the absurd, we'll start with a claim by a Wisconsin woman named Nancy Leader. A Leader, maybe? It's not Leader with an A. The Nibiru myth originated from her, and she claimed that she had been contacted by the great extraterrestrials called the Setons, or Setons maybe. According to her, this great ETs implanted a device in her brain for communication. She founded ZipTalk in 1995, which was a website to spread her ideas. In 1997, the Hale Bob comet perihelion was around the corner, long awaited by people to glimpse. Later, as in a lie. Two on the nose, pals, and then totally rejected the claim of seeing the comet. Claiming that she had spoken to Satans about it. She said this comet did not exist and was, in fact, a fraud. She claimed that Hale Bob was a distant star and in no way was it near the Earth. Instead, she claimed that it was merely a story to distract the masses from the looming arrival of another planetary object called Planet X, which would collide with Earth and annihilate civilization. Neither came to public attention through these wild claims. Well, I guess that it happened. Bullshit meter. Makes sense. However, as the scientific claims go, the Hale Bob perihelion did occur and was one of the longest and brightest observed comets in the last century. Later read her statements from her website, but they can still be seen in the Google archive. Ooh, the archives. I guess this lighter woman was lying to me. She described planet X as being 4 times bigger than Earth, and said that its closest approach to Earth would be May 27th, 2003. I guess that didn't happen. This, according to her, would end Earth's rotation for exactly 5.9 days. Earth's pulse would destabilize in pole shift, a physical shift instead of a geometric one, due to the magnetic attraction caused between Earth's core and the magnetism of planet X. Hey, how you doing, lad? We're conspiracy maxing today, don't mind me. So, the day of the event came and went, but there was no sight of Nibiru. Shocking. She later said her claim was a white lie to fool the establishment, explaining that she didn't disclose the true date and the pretext of not wanting to give too much time to the people in power to declare martial law and hold people in cities during the event, which would lead to their deaths. You wish the government was this competent. It's something I'm finding here hilarious. This commonality in these conspiracies. Oh, the government! Oh, it's the government! A capitalistic government! Oh, the shadow government! You wish that was the case, man. You wish that was the case. But it isn't. The government is not that smart. Bullshit meter, high. Shameful display. Other mentions of Nibiru. Zagara Sitching and the 12th planet. Nancy later did refer to this cataclysm as Nibiru in her claims. She's called it Planet X. However, it came to be associated with Sakura Sitchin's book, The 12th Planet. 12th planet? 12th planet? They were kind of Pluto. It's a planet to me, okay? In the book, there's a planet of an ancient astronomical proponent called Nibiru. Sakura Sitchin interpreted Mesopotamian religious texts as referencing a giant planet. Nibiru or Marduk. Isn't Marduk a deity? I mean, deities being related to planets is nothing new, right? That was also the case in both Greece and Rome, so reasonable, I suppose. Isn't this a magicite in Final Fantasy VI? Yeah, it's also pretty good. It's Dad's magicite. Oh, spoilers. That passes Earth every 3,600 years, becoming a way for the sentient inhabitants of the planet to interact. And this interpretation contradicts the conclusion made by all critical scholars of Mesopotamian texts. Whoops. I guess that is not true, maybe. Neither made the connection between her planet X and Nibiru, stating, Planet X doesn't exist. There's the 12th planet, one and the same, on her site in 1996. Since denying connections between his work and Leiter's Planet X, he published a book called The End of Days in 2007. In which he addressed and dismissed the cataclysmic angle others had grafted onto his ideas. The book sets the time for the last contact with Nibiru and Earth at 556 BC. According to Sitchin, the planet passes every 3,600 years. Set the date of the return of Nibiru at 2900. Jesus Christ. Well, just wait for it. Just wait for it. How much do we have to wait? 900 years? It's not a lot. If only it was that easy. Jesus Christ. Damn. I guess that didn't happen. The main calendar and the world ended in 2012. Many people jumped on Leiter's bandwagon, and then followed to already preposterous claims. Though they hadn't set a date for the cataclysmic event, people came up with their own theories about when Nibiru would pass Earth. The Mayan count calendar marks the end of the 13th Octoon on December 21st, 2012. A date that came to be associated with the apocalyptic end of the world. Even the modern Mayanists pointed out that the date simply marks the rollover of a cycle, as any prophesied them. Many people tell this date as the nearing of Nibiru, and several authors published books connecting the supposed encounter to 2012. The date is, of course, long gone, but several websites are still claiming that Nibiru is around to Earth. You say the world didn't end in 2012. Are you sure? Had you felt alive in the past 14 years? Have things gotten better in the past 14 years? I don't think so. Welcome to the 7th circle of hell. Purgatory. I botched that twice. Please understand. I'm still far from top performance. I'm not Sekocho at all, I'm afraid. Nibiru's revival in 2017. The cataclysmic claims re-entered the mainstream media when David Maday, a Christian numerologist and conspiracy theorist, tied the return of Nibiru to various passages in the Bible. He postulated that there were secret numerical codes in the passages that provided the exact date for the arrival of Nibiru. He tied his predictions to the Giza pyramids and geometry. He set the date for the event to be in October 2017, but later adjusted to December 23rd, 2017. May's claims have been completely disregarded by his fellow Christians, who call his theories and claims rubbish. As the fateful day passed, May revised the date of October 5th, 2017. There were also other claims of Nibiru's imminent contact with Earth. Trollcraft, an apologetic writer, predicted it would happen on November 19th, 2017, which earned a lot of coverage from the media. After those dates also passed and eventually, Peterson proposed the prediction again, claiming the world would end on April 23rd, 2018. Once more, nothing happened. Well, I guess that didn't happen. Conclusion. Scientists have, time and time again, completely rejected the baseless claims made about Planet X and Nibiru. The reason that, if such an event was about to happen, the huge object would already be plainly visible from Earth with the naked eye. I mean, that makes sense, right? It's a planet. It's supposed to be big. If it's close, you're gonna see it. David Morrison, a NASA senior scientist, explained that if a giant planet had passed close to us before, and such claims, it would no longer be in its current near circular orbit around the Sun, and would most likely have lost its moon in the encounter. Yeah, makes sense. It is safe to say that Nibiru isn't real, and there won't be a flyby. Humans certainly have a penchant for telling stories and creating myths, but sometimes things just get out of hand. One quick clarification, since the names get mixed up online. The hypothetical Planet 9 proposed by Caltech astronomers Constantine Batygin and Mike Brown in 2016 is not Nibiru. Planet 9 is an actual scientific hypothesis based on the strange orbital clustering of distant Kuiper Belt objects. If it exists, it would be a small Neptune-sized world-tuckered, tied far beyond Pluto in an orbit of 10,000 to 2,000. 10,000 to 20,000, not 2,000, I know my numbers. Years. Never anywhere near Earth. And certainly, not in a collision occurs. Comparing the two is one of the most common things you'll see in Nibiru blog posts. Don't fall for it. I guess that makes sense. Extremely Indian guy. Oh, brother. Do we peruse the LinkedIn? I'd rather not. Yeah, back to LinkedIn, you fucking idiot. Those are my favorite Twitter posts. I will admit to that. Oh my god, it's full of bots. It's not bots. It's people calling you out. It's not the same. You might not like them, but they're not bots. Also, god damn it if you're actually Indian. This is the final topic, but I have another blog post about this. I thought it was very interesting because of the name of the guy. After 20 years of research in Nibiru, here's the theory that makes the most sense to me. By Peter Thiel, not to be mistaken with Peter Thiel from Palantir. I thought the name was very odd, so I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna read this guy. Just in account that, because everything happens for a reason. I guess we didn't mention more stuff about the moon. There were the... I wanted to mention that we were talking about the moon being a hologram. Allegedly, which is something people use to mention we never went to the moon, which was related to the post. There are these things called Van Allen radiation belts. They're actually in Wikipedia if you want to read about them. Set of energetic charged particles, most of which originate from solar wind, that are captured and held around the planet by the planet's magnetosphere. Earth has 2 such belts, and sometimes others might be temporarily created. The belts are named after James Bang Allen, who published an article describing the belts in 1958. It's relevant because, in theory, if what the conspiracy theorists say is true, which I actually don't know, I haven't went through this a lot, it would make it impossible for people to cross them and get actually to the moon. Because it will make you extremely sick and you will probably die from radiation. Some people say that's what happened to the first attempts with cosmonauts back in the Soviet Union. Shrug, I'm just mentioning them because of completion's sake. I'm saying it's real, I'm saying I believe that's the case. It's something that exists. It's something somewhat interesting. Check it out to me. Call me a conspiracy theorist if you must. Even on the Nibiru Nemesis Planet X Hercules rabbit hole, call it whatever you want, since I was 17, and 37 now. That's 30 years of reading, researching, and filtering through college theories. My conclusion? I think Nibiru Planet X Nemesis is legit. Isn't Nemesis a book by Agatha Christie? I think that is correct. That being said, there are a lot of scammers in this community. Scammers. We already talked about this in the beginning. Twice, for different reasons. People constantly throw out random apocalypse dates just to steal books, DVDs, GT memberships, Patreon subscriptions, or whatever else they're monetizing. So be very careful who you trust, no matter the context. This is true. Now, back to the topic. From everything I've come across over the years, my current views of the Nibiru/Nemesis object enters our solar system somewhere around 2046 and 2052, with its closer approach to Earth happening around 2060, and its complete exit from our solar system around 2100. Okay, remind me in 2060, okay? We need to have a stream about that. It's actually real? Is it coming for us? Am I gonna be alive by then? I mean, it's what? 35 years? Shit, maybe I won't be alive, who knows? Because my family has painted for dying kinda young. Also, given current events, I get killed for several different reasons. Okay, if I'm alive and still stream by 2060, remind me this, okay? Interestingly, the last time with Isaac Newton's famous 2060 prediction, which he associated with the end of the current age. Many people interpret it as the apocalypse. Wink, you think? Maybe. I don't know anything about this. But it definitely got my attention. Another thing I started wondering is whether CERN was built, at least in part, because of this. And just the theories about portals or exotic physics. But as a possible attempt to deal with whatever the fact represents. Manipulating timelines, reality, and the simulacrums itself. I would say the CERN stuff was also pretty interesting, conspiracy-wise. It's very, very interesting, and I would say that maybe the shit they're trying to attempt there is also kinda weird. Are you trying to make a black hole? What's your fucking problem, pal? Maybe don't. I still like this planet for whatever it's worth. Haven't found any other that's better than this one. Here's where my thinking gets even more speculative. I believe the elites, I guess, understand that reality operates according to rules we don't fully understand. Fair. We say simulated reality. I mean the Hollywood Matrix, Matrix red pill slash blue pill, Andrew Tate BS type of stuff. Oh my god, this guy is mixing shit that doesn't have to do with anything else. Okay, the Andrew Tate red pilling doesn't have anything to do with the Matrix. It's about finding the truth of where you live, not as in you're living in a different plane, but the ugly truths of society. Not that I agree with many things that Andrew Tate says, but I wouldn't misrepresent the guy. This guy is so far gone, he doesn't understand the normie sphere. That's crazy to me. I mean something deeper. Instead of reality, with periodic reset protocols that occur every so often. Also come across references to another object. Supposedly smaller than Nibiru, called Phoenix. Into some theories, its role is a trigger to reset itself. with the estimated arrival around 2040 before Nero. Okay, remind me in 2040 to do a Phoenix stream too. I'm not gonna remember. Again, I'm not claiming this as fact. I'm simply sharing what I found after years of looking into the subject. Many researchers also connect these subjects with ancient Egypt, the pyramids, and knowledge that may have been preserved by ancient civilizations. If those civilizations really understood the cycles, perhaps they also understood they couldn't stop them. Which raises an interesting question. What if modern civilization is actually trying? Could someone be intent to manipulate timelines, reality itself, or somehow to reduce the impact of an unavoidable reset protocol cataclysmic event? I know this sounds like a plot of a science fiction movie. Maybe it is. But it's an interesting thought experiment. If an object like this exists, it probably wouldn't be visible through ordinary telescopes. Then how the fuck do you know it exists if you cannot see it? Right? It will likely require advanced infrared observation technology to detect. So, is this all complete nonsense? Maybe. Will absolutely nothing happen between 2045 and 2060? That's also possible. Hopefully most of us will still be around to find out. Hopefully! I can't agree to that! And if something does happen, then governments would simply sit back and do nothing. But through technology, contingency plans, or something we don't even know exists, they'll probably try everything they can. One last thought, oh brother. COVID conspiracy! Everything is coming together here. The capital lockdown showed that governments around the world are capable of coordinating massive responses to global events. Look, I wouldn't go that way with the coup, okay? I'm very deep into the conspiracy territory for that one, but no. Nah, I wouldn't say they were prepared for the end of the world. They're preparing for something worse. The end of the world as you know it. Get this fucking commies. And you think that's relevant or not is up to you. I'm presenting any of this as an absolute truth. They simply were 20 years of going down this rabbit hole has led me. In scientists from Chile, Carlos Munoz Ferrada, astronomers, seismologists, and geologists have talked about the similar object a lot in the past, which he named Herculebus. Just to hear what everyone else thinks. I was thinking of the Mass Effect trilogy. Always thought it mirrored Nibiru. Interesting, never played Mass Effect. I'm still waiting for Nibiru to arrive in 2008. Keep waiting, pal. But still, I think it's aliens. Alright. Okay, they mentioned something here about... Isaac Newton. Let's see. Famous prediction! I never heard of anything like that. Let's see, this is from Google's AI. So it's it's gonna be brief. In a 1704 private theological manuscript, Sir Isaac Newton calculated that the current era of human history might conclude around the year 2060 AD, which he believed would mark the return of Christ and the start of a peaceful new divine reign, rather than a literal planetary doomsday. Well, better than the commies, I can give you this much. The basis of the calculation, biblical interpretation. Newton relied heavily on numerical codes in the Bible's book of Daniel and book of Revelation. The 4-year principle. He translated prophetic time periods, specifically times and half a time, 3.5 years, into 1,360 days, interpreting each day as a year. Starting point. He measured 1,360 years forward from AD 800, the year the Holy Roman Empire was founded, landed early in 2060. Why the Holy Roman Empire? It's so oddly specific. I don't think that's a date of significance for God? But I guess I don't know enough. Nature of the prediction. Renewal, not destruction. That's actually from the New York Post. That's crazy. February 13th, 2025. Why did I not cover this when it came out? Sounds like right up my alley. Running explosive event of the Earth into anticipated reset of corrupt world powers, followed by a 1,000-year reign of righteousness and peace. Shit, dude, I wish. Personal caution, near road probably that while the era could change around that time or later, isn't a reason for its ending sooner. certainly warning others against setting firm dates for the apocalypse to prevent discrediting religion. Okay, the last thing the AI is telling me. Would you like to explore more about Newton's private work on alchemical research? No. I'm okay. I'm okay, thank you. Do we really need to wait until 2060 at the earliest to have some fucking justice on this planet? Press the reset button right now, please. It's time to end it all. I mean, I wish things were that easy. I wish things were that simple. I don't think so. I don't buy it. I'm gonna be honest. Oh, man. We can only wait and see what the fuck happens. Oh, man. I mean, how the fuck do you fix this, right? Whatever the fuck is happening with the current world. I wouldn't say it's easy to fix. I'm not gonna say it's insane, impossible to fix or anything like that. As I mentioned before, which I know this is going more into current events kind of thing. We have to be thankful. The evil people are just insanely fucking retarded. Nothing is gonna be as helpful as that, for whatever it's worth. That thing we're gonna be seeing the second coming of Christ, man. Isn't that also kinda a strange mysticism? And not really something that's actually expected from the Bible? I actually don't know about that. I guess we can look that up. Second coming of Christ. Actually biblical. God teaching in the New Testament. Well, fuck me, I was wrong. I was wrong! Yeah, teaching in the Bible. There's across many books in the New Testament. While the exact phrase second coming is not in the text, the idea of Jesus returning visibly in power is written throughout the scripture. Jesus promises to return on the clouds with power and glory. Matthew 24:30, Mark 13:26. Angels told the disciples that Jesus will return the same way he went to heaven. That's 1:11. Paul and other writers describe a visible descent, a trumpet sound, and the resurrection of believers. 1 Thessalonians 4:16-17, Titus 2:13. In Revelation, the final book of the New Testament depicts Christ returning as a conquering king, the judge and reign. Revelations 19:11-16. Well, somebody was wrong here, and that was me. I mean, of course I'm gonna make mistakes about that. But I don't know. I don't know. I think in a sense, even if that is actually true, is also somewhat disappointing. Did you actually need Jesus to rule Earth for things to get better? It feels very anti-humanistic to me. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. Can't humans be better than that? Not like this. Not like this. I guess we'll never know. Or we'll eventually know in 2060. Who the fuck knows? Not really looking forward to it, if I'm being completely honest. But because of different reasons, clearly. Brother, it's gonna be very difficult 30 plus years, that's for sure. And it's gonna take a lot of fixing. And sure, it's always easy to think of, but what about the magic man from the Bible fixing everything with magic? Well, reality is often disappointing, what can you say? I guess never stop believing is fine, but don't leave things to chance, especially important things, right? I think that's also a fair thing we can say. Anyway, I guess it's still a little bit early for me, but we can wrap it up for today. We don't have anything else. That was the end of it, actually. It had gotten a little bit more material, but I think it's fine. I think we did well. It was an interesting stream for sure. I do like doing these conspiracy theory streams, but they do take some research, okay? That's why you can have one each week. They're kind of fun still. I don't know what the next one is gonna be. Guess I should take some time to think about it. I might happen upon something interesting, and we could talk about it too. But anyway, yes, it's gonna be everything for me today. Plan for next week. Not entirely finished. Not entirely finished yet. We're gonna keep playing Sacred on Monday, for sure. We had to go through the desert with the battle mage. I don't like the desert, but it's fine. There's some pretty thick bosses there. If we're not careful, we might see it track in front of us. Not ideal. Not ideal. On Wednesday, I've been thinking maybe it's time to start Jump Force. I've been mentioning that. Seems like an interesting game. Why not? Why not? Shouldn't take us a huge amount of time, but it's probably okay. But we're starting from scratch. Whatever we played last time, it's gonna be lost to the wind. But we also get to see the first scene, which is probably pretty relevant. And they will make the character. And they will have to replay a little bit, but it's probably fine. I don't know if I'm gonna choose a different group this time around. I probably will, right? I don't remember which one I picked last time. The first fight gonna be against Vegeta? Potentially. And on Thursday, I'm not quite sure yet. I think I want to do another one-off. We might do our random retro stuff. That could be interesting. We might do... we might try Barony. I don't know. I don't know. It's up in the air still. I would need to find a collection of games for that. But for that, schedule will be up on Sunday as usual. Of course, we still have the Saturday stream, which is yapping, but I know it's not for everybody. We cover current events and whatnot, and some people are, yeah, not the biggest fans of that, but I get it. It's fine. It's fine. Some people just want to chill, and that's okay, but just chilling is not that easy anymore, man. That's one of the big problems here. Anyway, I'm getting the fang out right now. So, coming back on Saturday for the usual yapping and current events. We go back with the games on Monday with Sacred Gold. Until then, you know the rules. Some of these conspiracy theories are very funny. Some of them could be potentially dangerous. However, at the end of the day, I don't want you people leaving anything to chance. My favorite conspiracy theory is that we are number one and we're gonna make it. So we should work towards that goal. And take care.